All right. What's happening, everybody? My name's Tait Fletcher, and this is the latest edition of the Pirate Life podcast. And I'm not sure what number it is, but I'm sure Nate will tell us later. Sorry it's been so long. Our last one was Sam Briggs and Eddie Bravo and Logan and Dr. Chang. They all kind of came through one right after the other. Kenny Florian, we had some great discussions. And I really meant to get more done, but then I got this job and I was gone for a month. And a lot of great opportunities came up to have great conversations with some really great classic legendary people of like surf and Hawaiian living and like old Samoan families. And it just was like I got so enwrapped in just the conversations that were happening that it seemed like it would rob the authenticity from the conversation to go, hey, can we record? You know, I don't know. It gets weird trying to record stuff. So, and it was so fucking fun that it was hard to go about that anyway. And the job was great and everything was good. And I'd never surfed before, and I learned how to surf. And then I took pictures that were Kelly Slater and a friend of his surfing on big waves, and then I put me and Keith up there and sent that to all of our friends and said, look at how good we're surfing now. We've had 3 lessons, and some of them thought that we did that. I think that believing that stuff is kind of like this similar that Joe Rogan killed a mountain lion in his front yard. I can't believe how many of you idiots that have my phone number, far too many apparently have my phone number, that would call and go, hey, was that real that Joe Rogan really killed a mountain lion in his front yard with his bare hands? Like, Just to ask that question, it's amazing that y'all can have kids and vote and everything. Like, it's really a testament to how tolerant our nation is, and it's something you can really be thankful for. I think.
I thought it was outside of a comedy club.
There's Ruben Rivera piping up. I didn't even read the story. Yeah, people just texted me. Even Fletcher Sievers texted me. Fletcher, God damn it! You know what? You're from New York. You're supposed to know. You're from upstate New York. You're from Ithaca. Ithaca proud. It's gorgeous. What's up? So anyway, no, I don't think that happened. I actually, surprisingly enough, I never really asked Joe. Isn't that crazy? You know what else I never asked him? I never asked him if he was actually really going to fight a UFC fighter that was going on right now that badmouthed him and told him he couldn't fight very good. I didn't ask him that either. You know why? Because there's websites out there that aren't telling you people the truth. There's no Santa Claus either. Jesus, you might want to be suspicious of. I'm just saying, not everything you hear is actually a fact. And you know what? I'm going to try to keep it as real as I can here. But there may even be a little bit of bullshit you hear here and there so far. So anyway, let's just run it all through a filter before we start asking questions. And people go, God, I'm kind of curious about that dude's judgment because we don't want anybody saying that about you. So then I came home, and here I am in beautiful New Mexico with Ruben Rivera and the beautiful Maricia O'Keefe, who is actually the legendary vagina painter, George O'Keefe's great-granddaughter. And they have the very same aesthetic for art. It's wonderful. And Ruben is a killer and stuntman extraordinaire and actor and, master of many things. And anyways, I wanted to come out and say hello to you guys. And so we just started talking. Then we had the first hour and a half of a great conversation that we didn't record. And we're like, fuck, we got to record this. So here we are. Oh, and as to all of your requests, man, I'm really trying to ask all the guests to almost have their lips touching the microphone. I understand. It seems like the audio's fucked up. But I'll tell you, you try to tell Keith Jardine, like, hey, dude, keep the mic, and he gets on a stream of consciousness, and eventually that mic just starts to go away from his hand a little bit, and the sound goes away. And, it's an uphill struggle. I hope you feel my pain. But anyways.
It's funny, man. I don't know. Some of the guests you've had on, like Sam Briggs, I mean, one of the strongest women in the world, and Kenny Florian, it's like, feels kind of weird. I feel like I got to live up to something or something. I don't know.
Well, you're the most handsome man. A lot of people don't know that about Ruben. The most interesting man in the world is also his grandfather, except Ruben is the younger, more handsome version of that. and he's the kind of guy that that like there's a certain type of girl that wants to fuck me. That and that she like there's a template of like, oh, this type of girl likes that type of dude type of thing, and everybody has that, right? There's a certain type of girl that would be into you or whatever, and you kind of know what that is, and girls know what that is for sure. And the other thing is that there's not a type of girl that isn't into Ruben. Like, he's one of those fucking asshole dudes that's like,
I don't think that's true.
Super good looking to the point where there is no defense for him, dampening panties wherever he goes.
You and Nate always tell me that.
And also
I don't
everybody else that ever
way.
sees you.
I don't feel
or
that way
when we
about
walk out of a store, if somebody's like, oh, dude, who was that guy you were with? Fucking all the girls at the counter were asking about him, like, or like, except for experiences like that.
You guys
yeah.
never tell me those things. It's like you guys don't
Shut
want me
your
to know.
mouth.
It's like that one time that I went to Home Depot with Heather, and she saw some friend, and then her friend was like, "Oh, who is that hot guy you were with?" And she never told me that ever. And then I asked her later. She told me like years later, and I was like, "Why wouldn't you tell me that?" And she said, "Because I didn't want it to get to your head." And so I feel like you guys do that to me too. Like, you guys won't tell me shit like that.
I just figure that everybody knows that. Like, I figure it's so it's so common.
Knowledge. I mean, he acts like he's not aware of that. Like,
Right.
you have a mirror, you know what you look like.
Right.
You see people. I mean, when you walk by someone, you see them check out your ass as a lady. It's the
Right.
same kind of thing. You
Right.
feel people looking at you.
And it's like when it's like when you see those bitches on Instagram, they're like, I woke up like this or whatever, and it's like, Ruben really did wake up like that. Okay, that's really just how he looks, Except when he does pretty himself up, it's devastating, right? It's like it's devastating.
Yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned this, but I'm his girlfriend. So,
Yeah.
I wake up a certain way, and
Right.
he wakes up like this.
Yeah,
And, I feel like, wow, I got to get ready.
just to be ready for coffee with him in the
Yes.
morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the prettying up, it's like I got to outdo him all the time.
yeah. Out pretty
Right?
him.
I don't think that's true.
It's not
I don't
easy to out
think
pretty
that's
him.
true.
And did I even talk about his lips yet?
Not yet.
Jesus Christ! I mean, really.
Is this podcast going to be about me?
It's about you and your DSLs, or whatever they are. I don't know if it's D, but whatever happens. You know what I mean?
It is funny, man. Like, I'm not like super good looking. Like,
Shut your mouth.
I know.
Listen, stupid.
I know I'm good looking, but I'm not like super good looking. But it is a strange thing, like, especially around other dudes. Like, I don't want to be like a pretty guy. So I feel like a lot of times I'm trying to like prove to them that I'm not like a
Isn't it
little
true?
bitch, you
Isn't
know
it
what I
true
mean?
that when you met Brad Pitt, he was a little insecure just to be around you and didn't want to be photographed near you because you were too good
I
looking?
don't think I've never been around
Shut
Brad
up.
Pitt.
Oh,
But
and the other thing about Ruben is he's one of the most dangerous men around. He's, was the head grappling coach at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu Santa Fe, which is my school here, and just a fucking really a wealth of knowledge and all that. So he really does do double time to try to be an actual man instead of just some pretty little nints walking around. And he has to. He's right. He has a lot to overcome being that handsome.
all right, people expect me to be a little bitch. So I have to.
Great. I mean, I think it's great to be underestimated. I was blonde for a while. For people to just assume that you're dumb, and then for something else to come out of your mouth is kind of great.
Pretty good. So we were talking about doing it's weird. I get these emails a bunch and I get a lot more now because, and I should mention this. Oh, Lacey and Keith kill me when I don't. CavemanCoffee.com, cocksuckers. Okay, it's where you can get what I think is the tastiest coffee around. Although I did have some Mauloki, some great coffee out of Maui this dude sent me, which was tremendous. I wish I had a bag with me and I could give it an email address. It was really awesome. And then a friend of mine, Brian Davis from Ohio, sent me some really great coffee from his coffee shop there. O'Hori's Coffee here in town. There's a bunch of really good coffee around. Caveman Coffee, I think, is really some of the best coffee that is out there. And cavemancoffee.com, you can get your MCT, cacao butter, which is delicious in your coffee. I really have been getting off a lot, putting sea salt in my coffee when I blend it with butter. I blend it with only really goat butter. I don't even use cow butter really anymore. Goat butter I found to be more bioavailable, nutritionally dense, and
Easier to digest.
Easier to digest and more delicious, man. It's just, I can't tell you how much better it is. Like for me, taste-wise, like there's people that don't like the taste, but that's like maybe 0.5% of the people that I've talked to so far. But I put a little salt in on top of that, and a little cacao and butter, and a little stevia. The other thing is if your stevia has got a little aftertaste or something like that, that salt kills all that. It just takes all that away. It just makes it delicious. And now we're doing some cold brew here at Undisputed Fitness. We just got our first cold brew getting made here, and we're starting a little coffee shop here. So, yeah, check all that out too. And I was saying about letters. So since I started Caveman Coffee, get even more letters and more letters and more letters, and try to answer them all. And I really sound like a dick online, and I don't think I'm an actual dick in real life, but I don't have a lot of time, and so I'm really curt with my answers sometimes and short a little bit. And to the point, I'm like, oh, well, it sounds like you're a pussy, so man the fuck up or whatever, you know? Like, I'll get a lot of these emails, though, and it's hard, man. It's hard to be a dude, and it's hard to be a dude getting told that you need to make a choice and to do this and that, and, like, this is the right way, and like, these ideas, like, we're following a template from people that maybe really don't have all their shit worked out, no matter how nice your parents are or whatever. Maybe they didn't really quite get it right, and they're not leading the kind of life they wanted to lead, and then you're taking cues from them on how to live that life, and fucking then you get to be 25 or 30, and you're like, God, this is kind of a bummer, and I don't like this, and I didn't want it to turn out like this. And so then a lot of those dudes are like, dude, how do I do what you do? And I do it, I don't know, the short answer is, like, from being scared of the other side of it, of like, and from being scared that I'm going to be broke, alone, desperate, suicidal, fucking name your poison, like, common, like, to be common or basic, like, those are things that make me shudder. And so I'd always try to do something scary every day. And so my life for the last 20 years anyway has been trying to step forward into that every day a little bit, and it's really leaps of faith, you know. And I've said it before a bunch, like, you gotta sometimes jump off cliffs and build your wings on the way down, and I don't know if it's like, I'm not sure who said that. I got that quote from somewhere I read that, but it seems like really true. You got to let go of stuff and just go with it and trust the universe is going to make you okay. That, coupled with the fact that I go, you got to be selfless. You got to get your ego into a position where you can get checked, where you know that you're loved, and you can still take criticism, and you can move with that. And in that, to always strive to be helpful. Who have you been helpful for today? And I go through a checklist. Like, I ask myself at night, like, what I've done and where I've been useful, and because I don't want to be worthless or without a purpose or any of that. And so I've tried to build up my own purposes and it all started with me going, I'm going to be homeless and destitute, and or I'll be back in prison or something like that, and going, I'm just going to do this jiu-jitsu thing every day. And it all started for me with that, you know, and I just kept doing it, and then until I got hooked, until it became habitual, and then it became something I needed, and then it became something that I saw intellectually that it really fed me in a way that was almost spiritual, and that connected me in a way with myself that I hadn't been before, and had me ask questions of, you know, who are you protecting now, your ego or your arm, you know, or whatever, and it helped me get right. And like, well, what would happen if this guy was better than me today? Does it mean he's better than me tomorrow? Does it mean anything? Does it, you know? And so, like, putting, like, and jiu-jitsu is just one thing I can do that with. You can do that in an art class. You can do that fucking going to learn to surf. Like, fuck, you know, I'm old as fuck, and I learned to surf last fucking month. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm not. Like, I feel like I'm 20 years old. Like, I feel like I'm, like, whatever is available to me. And the only thing that stops me is that thing of I can't, or that thing of, like, you know, I just wrote this fucking jackass email back. He got mad at me when I responded to him at first, and I said, oh, I talk to dudes that are broken and on the brink like you all the time. he's like, broken and on the edge, like, you've got me all wrong or whatever. After I just get this litany of like this whiny 20-something that's worked a dead-end corporate job, that blah, 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 whatever. And really a beautiful thing and really some nice accolades to me. But like at this end of the day, that victim mindset of going, I can't, never gets me anywhere. And it's the thing that keeps me broken. And being broken and on the brink is a great place to be, because you're either on the brink of greatness or breaking through the floor feeling like the other shoe is going to drop. But the thing is in this life, the other shoe never has to drop. It can always get better as long as I'm looking to help out and support people around me. And when I'm broken, it's like I should be. Like I should always be broken in the awe of the world and the power that surrounds me, of the universe. And if I walk out into a situation, like I'm able to learn like that and put stuff out like that. And that's really the truth of what I mean. And I guess at the end of it all is I really love this quote I've been seeing about like that I'm not in competition with anybody. I need everybody to win. You know, I want everybody to do good. And that's the thing of people that would say that they're my enemies or my friends or my mom or anybody, is that like that old axiom that you hear me say all the time of when everybody does better is really true. It's like if I don't make you better, I never get better. If I don't show Ruben everything that I know as a student of mine, then he never gets better. And now fucking Ruben's way better. And then I have to figure out other shit because he knows all my shit. And then it's like, that's the only way that we can grow. And we can do that with a sense of competition, like, ooh, I'm getting over on you, or a sense of love that's like, fuck, I'm going to shine into you and we're going to make each other grow. And we're both really glad and heightened by that. That's why I love my early experiences with the Dog Brothers. And the only real good thing I think that Mark Denny ever said was, he talked about it. It's like brothers, where you're bringing the tribe up, where the axiom of higher consciousness through harder contact. We're swinging real wood at each other's faces, so that it's like steel sharpens steel, and it's not in the effort to hurt somebody, but it's in the effort if we're all doing battle side by side against each other, I need you to have felt real fire so that you can really defend yourself. And that fire comes up, and those battles come up in all different kinds of ways in the world. And anyway, I feel like, boy, that's quite a rant that I've been on, but it really is true, family, and I really feel that way, is that like we are all in this together, and there are endeavors that are against us, and even, and I think that's corporatocracy and capitalism in a huge way. And I think capitalism is good, but unchecked and rampant like it is a nightmare for us. And seeing that in Hawaii, man, fuck, like being out there was like, I think about people that are into ecology and environmentalists and everything, and like, in the mainland, we got environmentalists, and it's usually some dickhead that's really fucking loud with a poster on the side of the road that smells like patchouli or something and dog shit. And it's like, and he probably can't get a job. He's like, fuck work or whatever, Fucking a beautiful example of environment. It's like if you're the boss, you don't have to say you're the boss. It's like if you're an environmentalist, you don't have to say you're the fucking people in Hawaii, man. They are the environment. They're interchangeable. They're indecipherable one from the other. It's like that ocean is their blood, and that fish is their meat, and that like they would never sully that. And in the mainland, a lot of times we'll shit in the same water that we fucking bathe in, thinking that we're getting clean. I mean, we're in a drastic time as far as that kind of stuff goes, and the change of consciousness that is in Hawaii is so beautiful. I just remember sitting there the second day I was there. They put us up in this great hotel right across from the ocean, and I just thought, oh my God, any vacation anybody took anywhere else in the world, they fucked up and they took the wrong vacation. This is the place to be, man. It's like, I don't know. It was lovely like that. And
that was cool, man. What you told me about what they do on Tuesdays there.
Yeah. And that one, there's a bay where everybody goes snorkeling, and they go, yeah, you could go snorkeling there any day but Tuesday. And I go, why not Tuesday? And they go, well, because that's when we give the ocean back to the ocean. And we let her clean herself from all the humans that have been just snorkeling in the bay the whole. I'm like, fuck, man. And they don't charge anybody to go there and to go snorkeling. Here in America, we would treat, if you own that beachfront, You would treat it like Disneyland, and you'd be like, I'm charging on Tuesday, too. Like fucking bitches, man. It's like, and that is the point, you know, for me, is like, at what point do I, you know, I remember talking to my dad once, and he goes, oh, if I vote for this guy, my taxes would go up 20% or whatever. I don't know what it was. And I go, yeah, but fuckers for blowing people up and hurting people. And I go, at what point do you vote with your humanity instead of your wallet? And that's a big thing. Everybody with no money, is easy to say, yeah, I vote with humanity. You know, I've seen a lot of you motherfuckers get some money, though, and go, you know what? I'm a pretty staunch Republican now, you know, like, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, I either want everybody to do good, or I'm looking to keep the fucking shekels that I have. And there's no love in that, man. And for me, it's like a corrosion of the spirit. It becomes cancerous, I think. So I don't know. Like, it's weird at Undisputed here. Like, somebody asked me the other day, like Yvonne was asking me, and she's like, well, what's like the mission statement there? And I thought about it, and it's like the same thing I tell everybody, is like, it looks like strangling and power cleans and this and that, and it's about empowerment. It's about how to shut up the I can't in you and bring out the I can. And I said I wanted to change a community. I wanted to have this ripple through a community, and like, man, the stuff we've been seeing is crazy.
It's funny because people always come in here and they want this place to be a business. You know, they want it to be like a corporation or something. Like, we need, like, I don't know. It's funny. Like, everyone always wants to talk about like how we should run this place or whatever, and it's like,
right.
They don't understand that. Like, I don't know. If it was about money, I don't know that we would be here. I don't know.
Right.
I've just been here long enough to where, you know, I remember we didn't have that many members or whatever, and I remember you paying out of your pocket to keep the doors open, and it was never about money for you.
Right.
And I think people need to understand that like, you didn't keep the doors open so you could become a millionaire from this place or whatever it
right.
was. It was like, it was so you could build this community. And it's like, dude, I have such a deep appreciation for this place. Like, I didn't really even understand it at the time either. And now that I'm sitting here and everything that's come from it, like who I am today, I'm like, fuck, like I owe all of this to this community and to Tait and to, you know, it's like I've grown so much as a human. And through that, my brother's here now, my little sister, Maricia, like, it's just like I can pass that on, you know what I mean? And that for me is like huge, you know, and then people that aren't even related to me, like all of my students and stuff, like, you know, like to be able to pass on what you gave me, you know, like the knowledge, not only jiu-jitsu knowledge, but just even like all the teachings you give me and about empowerment and all that stuff. And it is, I really believe you when you say that this place is about empowerment. It's not about making money, you know?
Yeah. It seems clear like that too. You know, it's cool. 'Cause I think people like get that, you know, that they see it. And, Max was saying that to me today. She was just like, man, she's like, do you know what this does for people? And I'm like, I know what I hope it does, you know, like, and it's cool. Like, and that's the thing too. It's just about all the people, and it's about like, it's like that. It's like, if I didn't have that where I'm like, I want everybody to be great,
Yeah.
then this place wouldn't be open.
Right.
Because I would have had to keep everybody down, and then I would have had to be the little king, or whatever. Sure. And then who would I be? I wouldn't have been in Hawaii this last month. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to help anybody follow film dreams or start a coffee company or have any voice that was out there that's like talking about a sustainable life or any of that stuff, you know? I mean, it would have all been muted. It would have been all, and so that's the trick of it too, is that like to look for self-entitlement or some shit like that works the opposite of what you think it is. The more you're clamoring after that shit, I mean, I can look at dudes. I can look at Tom or Ben or any of these other jiu-jitsu dudes that are in town here, and I can look at them fucking trying to greedily hoard their shekels that are fucking minimal. It's nothing. It's piss change. It's nothing.
Right.
And then you look at and you go, holy fuck, look what's grown out of this. It's like this became something that was like a home that spread a whole different kind of thing and got way bigger than had it been looked at the other way, you know? And that's that becomes a trick. I remember a dude told me, he goes, dude, do you know the law, the universal law of reciprocity? And I go, no, I don't know. And he goes, well, you know what reciprocating is? I go, well, yeah, like a balance, like you give one and you take one or whatever, something like that. And he goes, well, he says, everybody lives on the mode of, I'm gonna get mine, and when I get mine, I'm gonna help everybody. When I get my lotto ticket, and I get my $300 million in the Super Zinger or whatever, I'm gonna give 30 of my friends $1 million or whatever. And he says, and it's just so wrong. There's never any winning. He says the thing is you give everything you've got to the universe and those around you, and that's where you can receive. You've got to come from a place of opulence, of a place where there's not scarcity, and if you're only harvesting from a scarce well, that's all you're ever going to get from there. But if you behave as if there's a plethora of love, then you're always going to have love in your life. If you know what I mean? And it's like, man, to really fucking get that and appreciate it, that's the big thing, I guess, too. Like I would respond to that letter with is appreciation. I can't say that enough. Like that grows everything. No. I mean, because we can love each other as much as we do, which is a ton. But like to not appreciate verbally and physically and to let each other know that, it's kind of hollow. Like we got to be active in that. And when I am in those moments and I'm just happy to be here. I wouldn't like to be anywhere else. I'm being able to be present and engaged in this moment,
I think like one of the most valuable things you can give to people nowadays is time, or at least I feel that way. Like I'm so busy, and I'm not even trying to act like I'm working all the time, but I have so many things that I want to accomplish in life or in my day. And so I'm just like super busy. And so for me to give time to people, like it's like, for me, it's really valuable. Like if I give my time to somebody, it's a big thing. And I feel the same way like about you, Tait. You're doing so many things, and so when we get to spend time together, like I really appreciate it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. That's
I like that, man. It's everything. It is everything, man. I was talking earlier. I was giving Nate a bunch of shit about texting all the time.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, that motherfucker never gives us any of his time. Like, truly, you know what I mean? Like, we're not like we're not present.
Listen to this. I go, hey, homie, who else clowns you besides me and Heather about you being in your phone all the time? He's like, nobody really. I go, really? Ruben never says anything. He's like, well, not to me, but it's like, and fucking, I love Nate. He's one of my best friends in the world, and one of the most loyal, badass dudes around. But like that thing, man, like we were talking about it today, the conversation just came up about like, you're not engaged if you're somewhere else. Like, and that's even like, I see dudes walking across a parking lot and they're there. I'm like, you are so susceptible and vulnerable to damage. A car could hit you. If a kid kicked a soccer ball, it would hit you right in the face, and you wouldn't even know until you were picking yourself up off the ground. It looks weak. It looks so unmanly. I'm just like, holy fuck. And then I'm like, I'm not even being present with my universe. I'm lost in something else, which that was the other thing about Hawaii. I was like, because I'm a bitch with my phone, too. It's like I'm trying to write blogs, or I'm trying to answer emails, or I'm trying to put that down and go, oh, I'm going to go, and I'm going to be in the ocean for the next 6 hours or whatever. It's like, and then, dude, the thoughts that come in, dude, just when you unplug just that much and you're just there and you're like, I was looking at these fucking waves, dude. This is a trip, too, is like about value. Because you're out there, dude. Some of those dudes get gnarly about waves. They get like, hey, fucker. Like, what the yeah, they're like, that's mine. Real, like. And that's the thing is that, so the waves are valuable, right? Like, and they're not ever present. You got to wait for sets to come in, and sometimes you wait 30 minutes maybe. And so when they come in, if somebody drops in on you or whatever, dudes get a feeling about it, And I was just sitting there thinking while I was waiting. I was like, I was like, they're valuable, man. They're precious, and they're to be revered and taken care of, and to the point that they are precious. But the other thing is to get mad about it isn't the way, because there's not scarcity either. The universe is always going to provide more waves. And so there's nothing to be upset about in it. And it's not that they're not valuable, but to live in the knowledge that, like, it's not the last one. I'm not holding my breath. The universe is always going to provide more goodness. And I think about that, like, for adolescent kids with girls, with this is the only girl that's ever going to love me in my life, or what, like, or what, all that stuff. It's like, there's everything of everything, infinity. Like, there's all of it, you know? And it really things get clear when you're out there fucking just looking into the horizon, man.
I imagine just like having a deeper appreciation. Like, if you're waiting there for 30 minutes and then like this perfect wave comes at you and you ride that wave, I mean, that must be like a feeling, you know? And I remember Darren always talking about how it's like riding energy. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm
Darren
like,
Prescott,
wow,
greatest stuntman in the world.
Yeah, I was like, man, that's awesome. I gotta try that someday. But
you know what it's like, dude? It's like if you hit a baseball perfectly, and it's just like, and it's like you don't even feel pressure against the bat, really. Maybe there's just a sound, and it's just like, and it's gone. Or you hit a golf ball perfectly, or something like that. Because I mean, you fuck up the swing so much. When you hit it right, it's like, ooh, everything's just in sync, and it's kind of like that is what it felt like, and it felt like some dudes would be like, yeah, get out there and battle it, man. Fucking battle those waves coming. And it's like, I'll fucking drown. Like, if the LG got mad at me in the ocean, it's gonna kill me. Like, I'm a bitch in the water. But it's like, you got to be with it. You've got to be a part of that water, right. and that's where the goods are. You know, learning how, like, and that's the thing with appreciation. If I need to be on the right frequency to get all the goodness that is of the universe, I need to be on the right frequency for that wave. For sure. I need, I got to have myself right.
Right. And then too, like respecting water, you know? I mean, in New Mexico in the desert, but if you're in the sea, you're in another planet. You don't know what the fuck's around you, So, I mean, yeah, I think just appreciating all of that and feeling all that is crazy. I mean, you feel really small in that way, which I think is beautiful. To sit and have to wait. You don't have any control or power over what's going on around you, under you. Yeah.
It's funny, man. We get so caught up on our lives or who we are, and I always have to remind myself like how minuscule my life is in light of us just being a speck of dust in the universe, and people forget about that. We forget that all of this is so meaningless. And it's just like appreciating every moment, because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, And the ocean, man, yeah, I mean, like, imagine, like, I don't know, I haven't spent enough time on the ocean, but just being in there is scary. Like, I feel
right, what's down
helpless.
There?
I feel helpless in the ocean, like Dude, Maricia was saying.
You know what's helpless is, like, so there's this guy, Brian Keelanu, and he was one of the guys, he's a legend, like, that it would be such a privilege and an honor to sit with him like that. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like so loving and kind, like he would do whatever. Like, he's just a dope dude, with his time, and gracious. Yeah. And he's like a legendary stunt man, and he's the guy, like at Pipeline or at wherever, if there's 100-foot waves, he's the water safety guy. They call his father. Before him was a famous lifeguard who was the best waterman in the world. He owns a paddleboard company, stand-up paddleboards, called Waterman, and he does these things. The Sup Squatch, it's called, stand-up paddleboard Sasquatch kind of thing is what it looks like, and it's this huge thing. It's like a 7-man or 8-man stand-up, and so it's me and one of his water safety guys, another guy that is a legend in the water world. And I think that's where they all met, was actually on Waterworld with Laird Hamilton and all those guys. Like, and so me and their daughters went out on one, and then all these real hardhead, wine-eyed, fucking badass dudes on another. and we'd go out and catch these waves and go in and you stand and you're rushing, dude. You're going, I don't know if you're going 40 miles an hour. You're blasting. And we blasted one all the way up on shore and stuff, and it was awesome. And these girls just, it's like teaching fighting. Like girls, you teach them to throw a punch or whatever, and they throw it correctly. They're not trying to throw it hard the way guys are, right? And it was like the same thing. It's like we worked in unison. We're looking at each other to make sure that we're paddling in the same unison and everything. And the guys are like, it's like all disjointed, you know? It was a trip, man. And then I found out a couple of these girls are badass lifeguards too later. And then Brian's daughter takes these pictures of dolphins and tortoises. She does a lot of underwater things. She was featured on Nat Geo, and and she's fucking badass, man. And so I was supposed to go out on. I'd signed up for Dolphin Adventures or something where you could go out and they drop you in a pod. Except I worked all night that night before in the jungle. And we got in, and by the time we're in, it's like 20 minutes before they're supposed to pick me up to go. And I'm like, I got to go to bed. So I sleep all day, and I miss it. And then my friend Chad, he goes, dude, you got to come and meet my brother Brian out here in Waianae. And so I rent a car. It's an hour and a half drive. I go up to, and everybody's telling me, dude, he is the man. This guy is the man. And I was like, cool. And so it's kind of weird. I'm like, ooh, I'm like a little, like I don't know what to expect or whatever. And then he and Chad and I, we go out on this little catamaran. There's real small, but like you could fit three of us in it. You could fit a fourth person maybe, but it's one sail and we go out and we look at these tortoises that we're in like 20 feet or 15 feet of water, and like 10 feet under the water, the rock starts, and there's this big boulder where all the tortoises come, and all the other fish that come and eat all the crud off the tortoise are there, and so that's why the tortoise goes there to get cleaned. It's the one-stop oil stop for the tortoises, right? And these tortoises, like 4 of my fists make up one of their heads. Like they're huge dinosaur animals. And he goes, dive in, man, put your goggles on. And we dive in, and we dive down, and I dive down, and I'm diving down, and I go and I meet him, and the tortoise is right there. It swims up to me, man, right, like face to face, and I'm like, if he, like, I was a little, I wasn't not nervous. I'm gonna say right now, I'm not like a little bitch. Like I'd probably take a tortoise on the ground if we were in the beach.
you don't know how they behave. But, like you're never.
Holy fuck, I mean? Man! Like, it was beautiful, like, a little scary. Is it gonna... I'm trying to hold my breath. My adrenaline's spiking. I'm underwater. I'm like, I gotta blow my nose so that my ears equalize and all that. Like, it was a trip. And then I fucking swim up. Oh my god! And then I can't wait to get back down again, but I gotta catch my breath. And so then we went sailing for another 2 hours or something. And Chad's just fishing out the back, and me and Brian are sailing the boat. And then we come back, and the same dolphins. The dolphins had met us when we first went out, and they're swimming and diving in front of us and shit. And he says, oh, they're spinners. They come up and they spin, they flip, and they're doing all these tricks. They're acrobats, right? And then when we come back, they come up again. He's like, oh, they're right in front of us, bro. He says, get your goggles, jump out. No shit, all right. And I get my goggles, and they're like, from me to you away, they're like right there. And I dive in, and they're right there, and they come back, and they check you out, and they swim alongside you, and they flip up here, and they come on the other side and flip up on the other side of you. And you're like, oh, my God. And there's like 4 or 5 of them right there. And then I look down, and it's only, like I said, 15 feet down, complete sand bottom in this channel we're in, and all the sunlight just beams going down, and there's 25 or 30 dolphins all along the bottom, and they're just cruising.
That's so crazy.
Holy fuck. It was so crazy, dude. It was fucking beautiful. It was like a real God moment. I was just like, wow, you're just here with nature, and you're calm, and they're calm, they're unafraid, like, and she swims with them every day, so she's got pictures. There's a picture on my Instagram that I jacked from her page. That's one of them, but like, she takes pictures of these dolphins, and I'm like, you've been swimming with them since you're a baby. I'm like, you ever touch them or anything? She's like, no, I'd be scared. It's like the kind of admiration and respect that she had, no matter how much comfort. It's just. Yeah. It was beautiful. And so anyway, those guys showed me the ocean in a whole different way. And then we went and we swam through lava tubes that were underwater, and that was kind of gnarly, like a little scary. And because I'm not used to holding my breath. And hey, Brian, how long you hold your breath for? He's like, oh, and if I'm in shape, like 5-6 minutes, pretty easy. I'm like, underwater swimming, 5 or 6 minutes. You can, you motherfuckers out there, just try to hold your breath for a minute right now. And now imagine swimming. And now imagine you got to equalize your ears because you're dropping every 9 feet or whatever it is. You're dropping an atmosphere, and you have to not blow your eardrums up.
That's some Shaolin monk shit right there, man.
And then he said, my daughter, though, 8 minutes, 9 minutes. And I go, holy fuck. He says, you forget, Tait. He says, we're mammals. These are all mammals. They all just learn to do it, you know. You just have to do it. You just have to train to do it. He says the longest right now, he says, I think on record is 18 or 19 minutes. Now that's sitting motionless without activity. But can you imagine? You know what I mean? Like, what's the calm of 12-minute mark like? It's got to be calm. You're not even struggling. I mean, you're not struggling until the upper ends of that. Like, that's amazing to me. I was just like, God damn, like there's so much I don't know. And then they took me snorkeling through these caves where dudes have been beaten to death that got caught in there and shit. Like, and that was, I mean, talk about adrenaline spikes. The whole thing was rad. I don't know how I got on such a huge fucking tangent, but, you know.
It's awesome, man.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Like a beautiful life, I think, that you live for sure. It's a trip, man. Because even sometimes I think about, like, fuck, like, what do I got to do, you know, to get on that level or whatever. But I've had these conversations with you, and you're just like, you just got to keep being you, you know. And I think about that all the time, you know. And I'm just like, it's true, like, all in good time, you know. People always want to rush to get to the gold or to get whatever, you know, and it's like it's not that way, man. And I look back at like where I was 5 years ago, and I'm like, and now I'm here, and I'm so grateful and I'm so appreciative. And it's like, if I would have 5 years ago been like, how do I get there tomorrow? Right. It just, you know what I mean?
You wouldn't appreciate it.
You
know what it's like, dude? It's like paddling out for a wave. I thought, because it's a bitch, you're taking 1,000 strokes. And my shoulders are special anyway. Yeah. And so you're out there, you're working to get out past the brakes. Yeah. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if there's like a conveyor belt to just drag you out? Or you see people get drug out by ski-doos and shit, right? And I thought, not working for it would be not as good, man.
That's what I was telling you about earlier, like waiting 30 minutes for a wave. I'm like, how the appreciation that you have. I'm all about that.
And you're molding your body. You're getting in shape to fucking go out there and do that. It's like it's part of earning it. You know what I mean? And that's the beautiful thing. And the thing is you look at you too and you go, you're 15 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And you're already in a way better spot as far as that goes. You're way more talented than me. You've got a lot of more skill set. It's like all that thing is just like, you know, everything about it is letting your light shine enough, you know, and it's like, it's the thing. I don't know if it was like, is it a Marianne Williamson quote or something like that, or is it, or it's a quote that's often like, is it her or is it, the guy that Nelson Mandela,
okay,
you know, like, or something like that, where they're like, you know, trying to hide your light because you're scared that others are going to feel insecure around you helps nobody. You know what I mean? It's like a false arrogance. It's a false humility, and it's like, and it is like that's the kind of thing I think is like what we do is like I've always been afraid like, oh, people are going to think that you're highfalutin or you're big for your britches or that you're whatever, you know. But that's kind of like, that's living my life based on like what you think about me, instead of just and it's like, if you're in constant self-reflection all the time, you're not in danger of that. And the other thing is there's going to be people that say that shit regardless. You know what I mean? It's like us calling Nate fat. He's a full-on six-pack, and you call him fat, and he feels fat. It's like there's going to be people that are stupid like us anyways, you know? And it's like, it's like that thing about, it's important. Because, and it's more, the older I get, the more important I think it is, because it is a desperate time, and people do get scared, and they go, fuck, how am I going to make it, man? I'm trying to make my cell phone bill, and that looks easy for you, Tait, or whoever, X, Y, or Z, but, like, I got fucking real fucking problems, and it's like, I fucking get it, man. Like, I never, like, you should see the fear list in my head, but the thing is like, it's even more important to stand in that light, because then people are in the dark for two reasons, I hear. You know, they're there because they either don't know how to get out, they don't think it's possible, or they're comfortable in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, and they're comfortable there until they're not anymore. But then if you show those other ones a way to get out, it's like you can't go and pull them out. You just got to stand in the light and go, hey, there's another option, you know?
Yeah. See, and I think that speaks a lot to being ordinary, because it's almost insulting, I think, to be called ordinary.
Right.
You know, and I think that's kind of what you just, you embody, and it vibrates off you. To be around you, you want some of that. You know, you're very
nice of you to say.
No, really, like you're really extraordinary in that way. I mean, to feel small and I can't, when you step into a gym like this, you dispel a lot of that from yourself, you know, and you realize what you're capable of or what you could be capable of, and possibilities open. But I think that that's why maybe that exponentially we grow through you, you know, because, I mean.
And vice versa. I mean, for sure, Maricia, you know. Like, I don't know. I always tell dudes, too, I go, you need a strong picket fence. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, it's people that are fucking solid and strong and capable that are honest enough to tell you, this is the truth. This looks like this. You smell a little funny today, or whatever it is, man. Mm-hmm. And people that you can tell and go and talk to and trust and know that you're safe. Like, and like, so without that, like without you guys, there is no structure for anything else. You know, it's like we're all each other's structure. That's the beauty of it, I think, to me, you know. I mean, that's the part where I feel privileged to be a part of it. Like, and people are like, God, I'm so glad that this is here, or whatever it is. It's like, fuck, I'm just glad that I get to be here to witness something, you know, that,
sure.
Because that it's weird that this is the important thing out of everything, you know what I mean? Like, this is like, it's like the hive that grows everything, and that is it's like the nucleus, you know?
It is, man. It's just like jiu-jitsu. Like you taught me this, but it's like the whole thing about, like, if everyone gets better, everyone gets better. And I think about that all the time. Like, it does me no good to be the best guy in the room.
Right.
And if I am, then I need to make sure that my guys get better. Because I'll never get better if I try to hold them down. Like, if I'm just about, like, I never want to get tapped by Kyle, or I never want to get tapped by Nate or Conrad or whatever.
You know, fuck like Kyle. That dude today, I did drills with him, and I was almost asleep just being his dummy. Like, I mean, it's all triangles and shit, and I was like, that is a tight fucking triangle right there. And I started to go black for a second, and I go, oh, this doesn't feel comfortable at all. You know what I mean? And he's talking to all the girls, and I'm just sitting there trying to get my shit together. And it's like, motherfucker's got a squeeze.
Yeah,
like, that's different.
He's fucking talented, and I remember,
and a great teacher, man.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome.
Fuck, I learned a lot today.
He's great. You know, it's funny because I remember we recently started trying to make videos, you know, every so often about, like, techniques, which I
love, by the way.
Thanks, man.
I love those videos, and I love all the ring videos that you guys do. Yeah. That's what I was thinking about, all Logan, you know. Shout out to goddamn DeuceGym.com. Motherfucking Logan Gelbrick, Lindsay Matthews, Danny Leslie. Love you guys. Even fucking Embo. That bitch just went to Africa. She just got back. She was there for like 2 weeks. Out there regulating. She did a little MMA video, fucking some dude trying to slap her around while she's kicking him in the face, and it was awesome.
That's cool.
But she wants to scrap. She wants to fight, actually.
Really?
She's like, I want to really learn how to do it. She's so down. She's so cool. But they make all those great videos, and I'm like, let's make videos that you want to repost them on. Like, let's make videos that people want to repost of us. Like,
yeah, that's awesome, man. They're great, dude. I look to Logan, like, I don't know. I see his shit, and I'm like, I'm not trying to, like, copy him or be like him, but I see what he's doing. Well, yeah, I see what he's doing, and I'm like, man, I need to step up my game. So he's one of those guys that's like, he, like, standing or, like, seeing his greatness makes you want to be better.
Hell yeah.
You know, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Like, you want to be amongst those dudes.
Yep.
You know, or those ladies or whatever. And I think this gym is great like that.
That's why it's like, why do I stand around you guys and fucking dudes like Logan or fucking Rogan or fucking Eddie Bravo or any like,
right.
Why are you around those guys? Why are you around RH Fear? Because those are the kinds of consciousness I want to be like, because without a Logan to look towards, for me, I'd rather fucking sit on a couch and shoot dope personally. Like, you know what I mean? I need dudes like you in my life that are either like he's counting on me for this or fucking or whatever. It's like I need all of it, man. like people, motherfucking, that's been pissing me off lately. Especially, I read this Malcolm Gladwell book, Outliers, and he talks about self-made people a lot, and he talks about the fallacy that is.
Right.
Everybody, every little wannabe gangster, fucking misguided, poor little soul out there. They're all like, I'm self-made. I fucking come from nothing. Even Drake, isn't Drake saying, "Fucking, I came from the bottom and now I'm here"? He was born. He was born a millionaire. Like, what? Your bottom looks awfully cushy, sir. But
hilarious.
It's so funny, right? But it's like, so I want to relate to this nothingness, and it's like, if I'm always relating to nothingness, I never get to celebrate the opulence that life is. And boy, does that degrade anybody that ever gave me a hand, a smile, an encouraging word, lent me some money to start a thing or to fucking get over my next house pain, like anything, man. And I have been helped by multitudes of people to become who I am. And for me to say, fucking, I made, like, bullshit, man, that's the biggest lie I ever told. You hear that? Slap me. Because that is just ridiculous. And it's so insulting to everybody. And it brings me to one of my other favorite quotes that is, the only people I got to get even with are those that help me.
I think about that all the time.
Fuck, there's a list of them, man.
And it's hard, man, like to truly get even with those people, like that, you know, like how much I feel like I owe you, you know, for everything. And I'm like, I could never get even. All I can do is just say yes anytime I'm asked for something, you know, and that's
you know what a dude told me one time? I just sat crying on his couch, and I go, I don't know why you're helping me like this, man, and I don't know how I get how I owe you, and I got nothing, and I don't know, but I want you to know that I know that, you know. Yeah. And he goes, you don't owe me, you owe everybody. And what you owe is to get as good as you can and shine as bright as you can so you can help the guy coming behind you, Tait. So you better get busy getting fucking prepared. Because nobody's lucky. They're prepared when opportunity comes, and it comes for everybody.
Yep.
And he just made me conscious, man. The dude just made me conscious, and he goes, you're not a victim. Nobody recovers that's a victim. You know, you're a participant, so get busy. And that's the biggest thing, man. You know, is how do I get even? Like, I try to be a man that, like, all those people that help me look at and go, you know what? I'm proud that I helped him because look at what he did. You know, that's what I want to be. It's like when Arlen Sanford comes and goes, hey, dude, I need this or that from you, that I'm a person that could be capable of giving something like that to him after all the love and kindness and skill and just for nothing that he showed me. Like, the man's responsible for, I know 5 different guys that have fought in the UFC or currently do, that he's responsible for helping and guiding and nurturing through their martial arts career, you know? And then, like, the fact that he comes in here is such an honor to me. Like, it's tremendous. But that's the thing is, like what, you know, what can we do to support our communities, to support our people?
Man.
And then what can we do to understand that everybody's our people?
Yeah.
You know?
You know, I was just thinking, like, a certain stunt man was like, I was talking to him about bringing in my brother, and he was like, well, you know, if you bring in your brother, you're going to compete. He's going to compete against you, and you guys are going to be competing for jobs. And I didn't say anything at that moment, and I went home and thought about that. And it was crazy to me from the beginning. It wasn't like I had to figure it out.
Right.
But I was like, man, like, that whole mentality of scarcity, like, that's crazy. Like, I could never do that. Like, I could never be like, I don't want my brother to do good because he's going to take what's mine.
Right.
That's like, that's crazy.
It's the same way I feel about, like, Jardine. Like, dudes say that, too. They're like, I mean, even in Hawaii, it's like, they're like, oh, your brother over there. Like, they're people, like, for sure, like, you know, it's like, oh, there's the black brother and the white brother, you know? And, but looking at that, it's like, I'm like, oh, this guy, you know, like, I push him out, like, as much as I can because, and then you look at it and you go, oh, no, that didn't happen. Actually, we both got called on the job to go to fucking Hawaii together, and we look very similar. Like, it's like, so I could have gone there by myself.
Yeah.
Or with fucking a really good friend of mine in business. It's like I can't live in, like what you're saying, man. It's just like, oh, what a sad thing that some folks live in that shit. And if somebody, like, as if getting a job is the thing, but even as if somebody got the job, that there's the other something else comes up. You know what I mean? It's like there's fucking beauty, and I mean, fuck, you and I are not. we're not at a loss for things to do. It's like we got a lot of ways to be useful and purposeful in the world, and if I don't get a gig here, it's not a big deal because I got 4 other gigs that I'm actively working and trying to work.
That. I'm like, I'm always trying to keep irons in the fire. Like I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. Like I'm always thinking about what's next, or what happens if this falls through. Like I'd never want to get caught in a position where that's it. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful way to live. I think it's worked out so far.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think Ruben's just a good influence as far as, like, me not being so stingy, because I had a lot of sort of self-beliefs, you know, I'm shy, I'm this, I'm that, and to just reinvent myself all the time and say, you know what, I can speak and use my voice. I don't have to be so in my head and can share myself, you know, in different ways. So, yeah.
It's funny, man. Like Nate was a guy that always, from the very beginning, told me that I was good at everything, and he would say it with like a kind of a negative, kind of tone or whatever. And it was like, for a while, I almost kind of like you were saying, like I would hide my shine a little bit, you know, because I didn't want him to feel bad or certain things and it reminded me a lot of my brother, like growing up, you know, like. Fuck, man, there was some weird times, like, you know, where I'd had like honor roll or whatever, and he didn't, and my mom would reward me and she wouldn't reward him, and I'd feel bad, and I would hide my shine, you know. And it was like,
how hard is that for a parent to do that, to go?
And she was trying to teach him a lesson, but
and it's not that I don't love you, I'm trying to help both of you right now.
Now that I look back, I'm like,
tough.
Man, like that fucked up my brother, you know, and it fucked me up too, because I grew up thinking that I had to be like hide my greatness, you know, because I didn't want to hurt my brother.
Yep.
You know,
what's the age difference with you and him?
13 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was like, I don't know, and I'm super close to him. You know, there's probably only been maybe like 3 or 4 years that we kind of like didn't talk a whole lot, and he moved out of the house, and he was like gonna get married and all that, and we didn't hang out a whole lot, but. Now that he's doing jits, it's like, man, like he's like my best friend again, you know. And
right.
It's awesome, dude. Like coming, like he was that guy that was like, man, come drink some beers with me, or let's, you know, before you come to my house, go buy a 12-pack, you know, or whatever. And I was like, man, like I was like, man, there's so much more to life. Like I moved away from that, and I'm so grateful that I did. Like I wanted that for him, and it took, I don't know, like 3 years or whatever to get him in here, and now he's like fully committed, and he's a blue belt now in jiu-jitsu, and he sees it, and he's so proud, man. He's so proud to say that he's a blue belt.
So
he's so proud to be a part of Caveman Coffee.
And he's so dangerous.
Everybody he tells, he's like, man, like all I do is run on coffee and MCT oil and butter, and his hashtag.
He looks better than I've ever seen him.
MCT fueled,
and all the ladies are saying, "What's Robert eating? What's Robert doing?"
Dude, it's crazy. And
you say, could be you.
Just the little videos he posts.
No, Katrina, I didn't mean like that.
His people, his friends or whatever on Facebook are like, man, what are you taking? And you're so strong, and And I'm just like, man.
And you know what the strongest part of that bitch
man.
is? That fucking grin. He leads with such a smile, man. What a beautiful dude, you know?
Yeah.
That's the best part, man.
And so to see him now shining like that, I'm like, man, like it makes me feel complete, you know? I don't have to hide.
Yeah.
We can share it. We can share the light.
And you look at, you know, the thing is, too, is he's going, oh, me too. And you see all the shit, and it's like, wow, man, that dude is banging, like, right now. And that's the weird thing, too. I look at people, and they're like, hey, dude, I just need a couple days off from my life, or I need a fucking, you know, go unwind with a few drinks or this or that. And it's like and whatever anybody needs to do to get through the day. But even, like, if that shit wasn't poison to me, I look at it and I go, when do I have the time to go and drink 6 or 8 drinks and then recover the next day? Like, when do I have a free night like that, when that's the best suiting for my time to be able to become, like, the greatest example of whatever my creator intended me for? Like, is that the way to use my, like, fuck, man. I'm like, well, it's curious how you have so much time. Those are the same people, true, by the way, that have no time to do anything and are, like, really busy, and they just are overwhelmed by life, like, type shit. But, like, Fucking wild, man. But I mean, there was a time, but it's like that. I'm glad that time's not now for me. I'm glad that is I hope that stays a time of the past.
That's a trip, man. Jiu-jitsu. Dude, I mean, shit. I'm a I always consider myself a non-athlete. Like, I did a little bit of sports here and there, and like growing up or whatever, but I never really got into anything until jiu-jitsu, and I feel like a real athlete now in that way, and it's taught me to put in the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, and I look at everything in life like that, like whether it's acting or stunts or whatever.
Reps.
I just know, like every day that I'm on set is putting in a rep, you know, and it's like that's what I'm doing.
And those are the people who to help too in that way. I remember back when jiu-jitsu was on the other side of the gym here, and like Keith was here, Armijo, and
right.
And he would bitch because I would be like, we're drilling and we're doing this. We're going to do the fucking meat hook to triangle, and we're going to do it for the next 2 weeks, and we're going to warm up with this half guard series and that's how I'd do it. And I would just be like, we're just going to put these numbers in, and we're going to fucking rep, and we'll switch it in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And dude, some dudes would get pissed, and they would be just like, dude, just want to learn something new. And then there's those dudes that suck forever. They, quote, learn something new every single day, but they don't know anything, and they can't do anything. There's no muscle memory or anything. But all our dudes are all killers. Like, they all fucking put numbers in, man. 10th Planet dudes, they rep it out. And it's those reps that make you a beast, man. Those are the things that make you a fucking killer. Like, there's nobody that reps more than 10th Planet dudes. Like, that's part of our shit. And, like, with that, I remember Eddie, and I was like, dude, Eddie, man, these fucking dudes some dudes are fucking breaking my fucking ear, and some of them are good dudes, like talented, and they're like, I said, what do you say about that? Do you ever switch it up? He says, no, fuck no, keep doing what you're doing. He says, if you got to explain to anybody that practice makes perfect and that reps make sense, they're too fucking dumb to teach, dude. Don't even keep that guy as a student. He's like, don't talk to the broken people. Talk to the ones that are into it, that get it. You only want to talk to people that are on your frequency that get it. The other ones that aren't, they'll either look at that and go, oh, I want to get on that frequency too, or else they'll die off anyway. Who cares? Some great advice. Like, who do you help? The one in front of you that's eager. Like, that's the one. You know, I don't get to pick and choose, but I get to see the signs.
Yep. That's been coming up a lot lately, I feel like.
Yeah?
Yeah. The dudes, I'm just like, I gotta let go of the dudes that don't want to be here, that don't want to put in the reps, or that don't get it, that don't get, like.
Well, and then those dudes jump from here to there to there. I mean, you know, and then I got nothing fucking but admiration for dudes. Like, you look at Kermit, that's a fucking loyal, down-ass dude that's, like, been in it. He's gone through the hard times of going, God, am I progressing or not, and all that. And then you watch him starting to take off. He's carrying himself different. His body's in a whole different composition. That motherfucker has turned a mad corner since I've seen him last. Like crazy, Ruben. Whatever you did with him, man, he's turned on. And, like, that's the dude I want to pay attention to. Like, fuck, man. Like, that's the guy. Kyle's the guy. Like, that's, you know what I mean? It's like, those are the dudes.
I just give those dudes attention, man. Like, you know, like, I want, when they ask me questions, I just tell them how it is. I'm like, yeah, you suck here and you suck there, and you need to clean this shit up. And, you know, you got all these things that are great about you. You know, I tell Kermit, I'm like, dude, you got long ass limbs, and that's great for this, but that sucks in this way, and you got to learn to keep tight this way because you have such long limbs that I need you to.
You're not as strong here.
I need you to squeeze. I need you to squeeze those knees because your legs are so fucking long. Or, like, I tell him this shit, and he just looks at me, and I think he gets it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm like, here's what it is. Here's what you got. This is the body type you have, and it's awesome. You're super flexible, but you're not as strong as this guy, and so you're gonna have to move like this, and you're gonna have to move. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's cool, man.
It's cool to unweave. Everybody's like, oh, this is the way that chest piece can move. What, like, since you've been doing jiu-jitsu, Maricia, like, you just kind of started, like, so Ruben started this badass self-defense seminar, and so you've been in this women's class, and there's, like, I don't know, 6 to 8 chicks in it all the time, and so you got an opportunity, you get like a sneak peek at what jiu-jitsu is, and what'd you think it was? And then when you started peeking into it, like doing it once a week or little bits as it came up, like what'd you start thinking of it as? And then like where are you at with it?
So originally, when I'd see jiu-jitsu, Ruben's been doing it about 5 years?
Yeah, 6.
About 6 years. So I went to tournaments sort of in the early days because I was just curious as to what jiu-jitsu was. It wasn't really, I guess, as big as it is now, or I just wasn't aware of it probably.
Probably both.
Both, yeah. So yeah, I'd see it and I just thought, I didn't know anything. It just looked really messy and I didn't have a clue as to what was actually happening. I knew the names of certain movements. I knew about chokes and just kind of working with limbs.
Kind of what it was,
sure.
and the armbar,
yeah,
whatever,
chokes,
whatever.
I knew that. It looked really uncomfortable and something I didn't want to get myself into until it was sort of packaged differently for me. I thought, hell yeah, I want to do it, because I think I've just grown and been out of my shell more. And so, yeah, learning it, I was telling you today earlier, just a little bit I know. Now I just realize how much I don't know and actually how technical it is. And like Ruben said, just being around other ladies and men, doing it with someone that weighs 200 pounds as opposed to a little tiny girl that weighs 205 pounds.
105.
Oh, 105, sorry.
There's no little girls that weigh
there aren't
205
little girls,
pounds.
sorry. Yeah, and then just working with my own body, having long limbs and when that's beneficial for me and not, so, yeah.
How many hours do you think that you have into jiu-jitsu so far?
We've done 9 weeks, twice a week. So, yeah, 18
and you
hours.
help work out a lot of stuff, though, too, with them. So you got some more time than the average gal in that class, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I know enough to know I don't know very much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, man, to get there.
It is.
Because people look at it and they think, oh, I know, like, how hard could that be? But, like, you look at all the different routes and all the things. Like, he's attacking here, I have to check here. Now I have to move here. And then, like, it's just infinity.
Yeah, and watching it, like you said, watching MMA and saying, oh, yeah, I can do that. I mean, wait until someone's actually in between your legs as a lady that weighs twice as much as you and how your knee-jerk reactions kick in as far as when you put in reps, like you said.
Right.
I mean, it's totally different.
And then, how about this? Like, what's it like for you? I never thought about this, but, like, putting myself in your position to take the emotions out of it. Instead of going, I mean, because that's got to be, I don't know if it's terrifying, but it's like there's different feelings there for a woman. Here's a huge guy between your legs who's solid, unrelenting base, stronger than you. You're in not a great position. And like what, like, so is there a switch where you go, okay, I just need to be analytical and trust the movement? Like, because emotion is, like I tell guys all the time, like if they're, I don't know, I don't get it a whole lot, but one of my favorite lines in the bar or in the street, like when dudes would talk shit, I'd be like, listen, I understand you're angry, but you got to understand that you being angry does not make you a good fighter. And you're going to have a real varied result here in a minute if you continue on this. But, and so, like, no matter how emotional you get, it's not going to make you competent on the mat. And so, like, is there a turning off that has to happen or
It's more of a being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
And I guess trusting who you're with and
Yeah. And Ruben does a great job with making everyone comfortable as well. Because Heather and I sort of at the beginning became, if you're not comfortable training with one of the men, you can do it with one of them. And all of the girls are comfortable with them. So, I mean, it's the environment as well. But, I mean, there are women that are in the class that have been sexually assaulted and they do get triggered. And, there are moments where, you see people freeze and they go, well, what do I do at this point? So.
That's why I like those beats. Like today sitting in on class was so cool and go, no, here's a safe place to rest. Because you find those places in the melee and go, here's a safe place to rest where you can get your shit together. You can calm your breathing and you can reassess where you are. Here's a place where you have to move. You're just going to have to put that aside. And you're going to all those little things. There's like, they're important pieces, man. And it's, I don't know, it's cool for me looking at and seeing Ruben teach it so well. Like looking at it from a women's perspective and go, fuck, what is that like, and what's the inner, because you got to go, what's the inner dialogue of this student like, so that I can help this student have the best experience they can, where they can learn the most in the shortest time, you know?
Dude, it's a trip, man. I mean, this course has changed my life, like, for real. It's crazy because it's not even about jiu-jitsu.
You're
man.
a different teacher. The way you express it and shit, when I was watching you today, I was like, I'm just sitting back and like, wow.
Dude, it's a trip, man. Like, I didn't really understand what it's like to be a woman. Like, I don't, like, we don't really think about that shit as dudes. Like, we don't know what it's like really to be sexually harassed, or like even the way that
even as good looking as you are.
Well, I start thinking about, like, because this self-defense seminar has brought up so many what ifs, and so many of these, like, these women ask me these questions, and I have to start thinking about these things critically, or like, okay, well, if I was in this position, well, what would I do? You know, and I start thinking like a woman, and I'm like, wow, I've never thought like a woman before. And so it got me just really conscious to how I even conduct myself in life, like, towards women. Like, it's crazy, man, the way, like, when I'm going to say something stupid, or how I conduct myself, like, I think twice. Like, it's just completely shifted my way of thinking and the way that I look at women. You know, and it's, I don't know, man, it's a trip. It really has been a trip, and
it's totally a different way when you get outside yourself,
dude. And I love it, man. I love what it's doing to, what it's done to me, and I like what it's doing to these women, and they can't wait to, like, pass it on to the next lady, and I'm like, man, what's the next one gonna be like?
Yeah,
and
30
the one
people
after that, you know, and it's like where this can go, and then they're like, oh, like, I understand what jiu-jitsu is.
And these are women with daughters that then can pass on that kind of an
yeah.
empowering characteristic to them, you know, without any physicality, but just like in that nurturing.
And I'm all about that. Like, I always tell them, I'm like, go home and teach your cousins and your aunts and your sisters or whatever. And then Blythe is like, man, I want to go to high schools, and I want to teach it to high school students going off to college, and I want to go to colleges. And I'm like, you should do all of that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm all about that. Like,
you know what the thing is too, is like, dudes, is like, as far as fucking taking responsibility of your family and your community in those kinds of ways, of, you know, like, I hear women talk sometimes when they share stuff with me. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like I was kind of raised by my mom and my sister, really, you know, and a lot of the dudes that I would really look up to would be like stories I would read about, like, in mythology or in Louis L'Amour books or something like that. I would look at those guys, and I'm like, that's where a lot of my ethics and shit came from, really. It's in a weird way, right? And
crazy.
But like, if it's late at night and I see a chick walking down the street and it's me and her and we're walking toward, I'll cross the street a lot of the time, just because I know this bitch is going to feel uncomfortable. Like, I know what I look like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I want to take the pressure off of that. Oh my God, here's this confrontation. You can see him stiffen up. And I'm like, I don't want to be a part of her feeling that way, you know, and I'll go across this. Like, I want to make people feel safe, you know, where I tread. And that's my responsibility to the world, I think, you know?
And there are other types of guys. A week ago or so, I told Ruben I work in an office, and it was really early in the morning, and I was the only person there, and a man came up to bring up copies, and the first thing he says, and this guy is a little creepy. I mean, just my intuition. He just speaks to me as a creep. He comes up. He says, "Oh, are you alone?"
Oh.
I said, "No. One of the ladies is in the bathroom. She'll be right up." You know, just those things.
God damn.
That.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around, thinking, okay, heightened sense of awareness. What's behind me?
Where's
you
an
know,
escape
I'm
route?
already.
Where's a weapon?
Yeah. Oh. You know, and
for a guy dropping off copies. But a guy dropping off copies, you've read stories about where the dude just came in to drop copies off, and then he raped me on the desk or whatever. Like,
so, you know, and then the old me would have probably said, yeah, I'm here alone, and not been aware of anything.
Right.
So, I mean, there's that, too.
And
even with Ruben just joking around, he'll get in my space, and it's like, I'm going to frame you.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
well, and that's the other thing, too.
Just instinctually, you're in my space, you know? Like, you're going to get jaws of life to your neck just, you know, just because I'm uncomfortable.
And I love you.
Yeah, but, yeah.
When I was watching you guys today, and you're doing, like, a standing arm bar,
Right.
You know, from a neck grab or from a hair grab or whatever and all that. And I was like, you know, I could easily see, like, there's girls that like to party and shit in there too. I could easily see them at a party, fucking, and their friends, you know, you guys are like, oh, well, you know, a guy couldn't imagine that a girl would know more than them because dudes have this fucked up way where it's like, we're born and we're supposed to know how to fight and how to fucking shoot a gun and skin a deer and everything, and with zero knowledge, without knowing anything, never taking a class or having anybody shown us how to throw a hook.
But all the confidence in the world.
We're supposed to know that, so we pretend that we know that shit forever. And so you see all those dudes at high school parties, college parties, all over the place, and they're like, oh, what could you know? And it's like, well, actually, that's Sugar Ray Leonard's daughter, and she'll fucking knock you out or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, so dudes do that shit, and then I can just imagine one of those girls would think, oh, yeah, well, go ahead and grab me. And then fucking do that shit to him. But, like, it's dangerous to play like that, especially drinking, partying. I don't recommend that. And dudes are stupid. But the other thing is, in a way, if I was going to play with a girl like that at a party and she hurt me and popped my elbow, fucking good on her. Because at the end of the day, I shouldn't be fucking around like that as a man. Like, I just shouldn't be. And at the end of the day, I want that girl, when she moves like that, I want her to move with efficiency and with an acumen that will damage another dude, because if she does that, she's going to need to. And she's going to need to have that kind of commitment to those movements. And it's something for dudes to think of, man. When you're out there moving around the world, it's not about playing games. It's like there's real stakes here that we're dealing with. And I'm not trying to advocate anybody going around and hurting people, whether I think it's shitty when women go and hit dudes. It's like, you're a stupid bitch, and a dude will fucking maybe touch you back in a way you don't like, dum-dum. Like, you got to be kind to people, but you've got to be sensitive to what everybody's struggle is too, man. You got to feel where everybody's coming from and go, oh, there's a whole bigger thing here than my ego at stake and her showing me her new little move or whatever the deal is. Like, because that's the biggest thing I see when I see classes like that. I go, when you guys go, if you're here, this is a godsend that you're in this safe place, and not my meaning undisputed fitness, but in a safe place by, like, you've gotten all the way to the meat hook. It's a godsend that you're here. Move with speed and efficiency into that next movement, because you can't take for granted that you're going to be here again. This might be the only shot we have, and so you have to do it as a killer. And that's the thing, is like, it's the same as owning a gun. It's pointless to own a gun if you can't pull the trigger, and if you don't know that you're going to pull the trigger when the time comes, if you don't know you're going to grab the arm and twist it and drop down and break the elbow when the time comes, we might as well not even be doing it. It's like, we got to move with that kind of commitment and urgency, and it's like, we need to help each other to be we be confident in those things, I think, you know? You know, fucking Jody, Jardine's girlfriend, fiance, when we were in Hawaii, their dog, big dog, 90-pound dog, Sweetie, he got snake bit while she was running up in the Sandias, right? Fucking rattlesnake bit him, man. And she knew she's a EMT, like, she's a badass, right? So she's up and she sees him and he's limping, and she said, I knew right away, you know, and he's real furry. You couldn't see the bites or anything, and he's not able to walk, and he's fucking freaking. And so she picks him up. Jody's 107 pounds or something. I mean, she's a little girl, and she's a badass. She's an Invicta fighter. She's a EMT paramedic. She's a bad motherfucker. And but so she picks up this dog that is not much lighter than her. She's got to walk him. I don't know if it's miles down. They're on a hike, right, up in the Sandias. So she's got to walk him down from, I don't know if she's at 10,000 feet altitude or whatever, down to get to the car, to get to a vet, to try to get rattlesnake venom and all that, or anti-venom. And she's walking down, and she's like, and some big buff dude comes running by, and she's sobbing with snot and the whole, like, she's beside herself, hanging on to this huge dog, walking him down the trail, right? And dude just sees her in this state and continues jogging on by. And it's like, oh, I got to get my workout in or whatever. It's a trip though. Like the consciousness, like how some people, like they walk through that life as unaware, and without empathy in a way, you know? Long story, dog's fine. First place didn't have anti-venom. Then she's on the timer. It's the bad part about her being the good thing is she tied off a tourniquet, did all that shit. And
that's crazy.
And she's dope, man.
She knows her shit.
So she ties it off. She's like, I can't let the blood flow go. I can't put pressure on it. She carries him, though, in a front cradle, right? And so she's like, I had to rest a lot. I'm like, why don't you go into a fireman's carry and just boss him? She's like, yeah, I should have. But it's like you train for what you train. You know, who knows? Like that seemed like the thing, you know. And so anyway, he got better, and then we got videos for the next several days of him kind of coming out of it. And then when he started to walk again, it was rad. But yeah, anyway, I don't know if that's a story about a snake, about a shitty jogger that went by, or about Jody being a hero. But
I think it was all those things.
It's all that. It's all that. It's cool, man. It's cool too seeing them, like all those Jackson's chicks, like and seeing all the growth of like women's MMA and where it's going, and it's interesting, you know. It's interesting to me because it's like how we are supposed to be, like with a feminine archetype of like. I remember reading an article and this girl was writing it, and she goes, you know, it's like when people say, oh well, Cosmo wants us to look like this or be like this or whatever. For me, Tait Fletcher, that always seems so fucking stupid. I'm like, shut the fuck up. That's so fucking dumb. It's like as if you're a victim of a magazine. You sound like a fucking idiot. That's so dumb. That being said, I know intellectually that it's true that it colors the way we are with what media we see and all that kind of stuff. But this girl, she wrote this thing and she goes, you know, when I'm a little girl and I get pushed, it's different than when my brother gets pushed. When my brother gets pushed on the playground in the first grade and he gets hit, generally they say, well, did you hit him back? Stand up for yourself.
Right.
She says, when I get pushed or hit, they say, go tell your brother. Go get somebody else to take care of you, right? And, like, that's a trippy consciousness because, especially for little girls, man, they're savages. Little girls up until they're 12, 13, they're stronger than boys. They're more coordinated, and they're smarter, for sure. After puberty, guys get to be stronger. That's it still.
I think about that. I think about that even with Maricia. Like, you know, she grew up not really being around her dad. And her mom kind of played both roles and all that stuff. And her mom's very protective of Maricia. Like, to this day, Maricia's still, you know, a 5-year-old little girl to her. And it's crazy, you know. It trips me out. And her mom's always like, oh, I should get her dad to come here and threaten this guy. Or I should get her dad to come over. You know, and it's like she was that for Maricia. Like, you know what I mean? And so I like even recently I was having a conversation with Maricia and like saying like I'm not going to be there for you all the time to defend you. Like you need to defend yourself, whether that's physically or verbally or whatever you have to do. Like you need to defend it. And I'm like, and like you told me this, and I'm like, some black belt shit is to address that right away. Like if somebody says some shit that you didn't like or touches you in a weird way or does whatever, don't wait. Like, you need to say that shit right then and there.
Especially as a woman.
Especially as a
woman. For me and you, we can dig ourselves out of a hole more.
Yeah.
For you could get buried in a hole. Like and that becomes the thing when I'm talking about playing around at parties or at whatever or any of that stuff. It's like the stakes are so high for a female in a physical confrontation that it has to be exact actions right away. Like you and you can't be like, well, he's kind of my friend or like whatever, or you gotta be able to pull the trigger and apologize later in a way. Like, yeah, sorry your elbow hurts, but you're being a fucking dick and you shouldn't have touched me like that, man. Because even if it's a dude that's going, oh, come on, sweetheart, and he's like, well, it's kind of okay. It's not bad. He didn't hit me. He's not. Or is it, you know, at a certain point you got to know, no, man, this is my space, and it's not okay that you're touching my face or whatever it is, you know? It's a different thing, man.
And that's become a new reality for me as far as what is comfortable for me and as far as, like, when am I going to voice something, right? Because, I mean, I was talking to Ruben yesterday about environments, like the type of environments I was in college. I mean, I've seen my girlfriends be choked. I've seen girls get hair pulled, all that, you know, and we're learning defenses for those types of things. But, I mean, until recently was I thinking, okay, I'm responsible for putting myself in this environment, for being 2 drinks deep, for being out past midnight, you know, just increasing the risk level exponentially because of that, you know. So I mean,
and that's the thing too, is like little stuff. It's like, are all those things bad? Do they make it your fault or what? No, fuck, of course not. But by the same token, if I'm going to be out late, it doesn't behoove me to be more drinks in at the end of the night. I should be clearer, because out later is when the crazier shit happens, and I need better judgment and better awareness.
The risk factor is
huge.
It's
huge.
We've been talking about that, Maricia and me, because I haven't been in a street fight in years, long time. And the last street fights I remember being in, I was drinking, I was out with my friends, you know, and it was like you kind of create those environments, like you know, there was a couple situations, like I
knew guys when I was working in clubs, they would fucking pull out a mouthpiece and put it in. Guys, some knuckleheads are so prepared, you know,
so awesome.
Like to think the guys aren't looking for that. Sorry to tell you.
How is that not in a movie yet, dude? Like. Somebody should do that. Or maybe we should. I don't know. Some dude picks a fight and then puts a mouthpiece in.
Yeah, he's ready.
That's a trip.
It's like, wait, you had a cup on at the bar?
And that's the kind of mentality dudes go out. Like, I remember
they're like, we're going to fuck or fight.
Yes,
I don't care
exactly.
which. I want physical confrontation.
Yeah, I remember going out with my friends and them just being like, dude, I don't know. I'm in a fucking mood today. Like, I just feel like fighting. And I'm like, whoa. Like, now that I look back on that, I was like, that's fucking crazy.
It's a lot of unsettled shit.
Those are the kinds of dudes that I was going out with. Like, holy shit. No wonder we got into fights.
That's the thing, though. You know, when you go, oh, you know, this perfect body in Cosmo, which I don't know if you've seen Cosmo lately. There's not a bitch in there that gives me a boner. But that's a whole nother thing. That whole thing is like, there's unrealistic expectations for everybody. For dudes, it's little G.I. Joe action figures or fucking cartoons. Or
Dude.
Why don't you go ahead and pick up a comic of Wolverine and go, have that body style or look like Colossus or something like that, because it's all like that. You know what I mean? Like, and to say that is it bad to aspire to that or whatever? Man, fucking deal with your feelings. Be a goddamn grown up. If you're blaming magazines or comic books for how you feel as your late teens, early 20s, you got some other shit to address, son. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to tighten up the fucking game.
It's a trip, dude. Like, even like video games. I don't know. The last game I really played was Gears of War, but the characters, like the male characters that are drawn out or whatever, they're huge. They're massive dudes, massive arms, massive legs, and it's like that's
and little tiny hands.
Those are little kids. Little kids are playing those games, and it's like that's what a man should look like.
Do you know what's cool about that, Ruben?
What's up? It is what a man should look like.
That in Grand Theft Auto, in the latest one, is that they jacked my picture for it.
Oh, that
yeah,
means
bitch,
something.
What's up?
That's what a fucking man.
I'm talking to a
look
lawyer
like.
right now about that. God damn it, you can't just take somebody's fucking image and use it as your intellectual property that you're gonna go and put them in a video game. You could at least ask, you rude motherfuckers. Make $1.3 billion in a day, and you can't give me a couple bucks or write me a letter.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man.
I love Tait's. I think it was an Instagram picture of you in a bathroom mirror. I believe it said "You are beautiful," and then you had like a cute little like frail model man.
Yeah. Oh, that was in GQ. I was in a plane. That was when I was coming from LA to here. And I was looking through GQ. I was like, oh, I'll see what gentlemen are doing lately, or so. I don't know. I was in the airport, right, and I grab it, and I look at the fucking models in there for the suits, because you can't be a full size motherfucker like myself and just find a suit anywhere. It's not easy. I'm full figured, bitch. And these dudes in there, they look like if Leonardo DiCaprio just did coke all the time and had AIDS for 5 years. That's about the kind of physiques that these guys had, all hunched over and crooked with no neck or spine. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, that's crazy. It is crazy. Mm-hmm. Those are like the way English dudes look. No offense, English people. You know what I mean, you guys. It's the style.
It's fucked up. Made me think of Kevin.
But it's like a different, I don't know, it's a different style for sure. Yeah. Full figured. I'm big boned. What can I say?
Yeah, dude, I never fucking told you this story, but I don't know, maybe I did, but the reason that I got the idea, or I thought we should do a self-defense thing, was me and Maricia, when I used to have more time, we would watch a lot of like Lockdown or whatever, like those TV shows about prisons and shit. It was funny. And so we're watching it, and like it was just whatever, like it was on Netflix or something. I don't know what it was on, and we were just watching this show. And this guy is talking about how he's raped all these women. And so this show was like, oh, we're going to talk to a real rapist. And he's here to tell us how he managed to rape so many women without getting caught and all of this. And so they have this guy and his face is completely silhouetted or whatever. And he doesn't want to show his face, and his voice is altered. And it's just all like, it's all creepy. And he's talking about how he did it. And so he'd be like, I'd go to parking lots. And he's like, and I threatened women that were getting into their cars, and I'd just be like, drive, I'd fucking drive and threaten them into their own car, and I'd get in with them and shit. Or he's like, some of them, I'd threaten them into the car and have them curl up into the bottom of the passenger seat or whatever while I drove and shit like that. And so he's like, and then I'd go through their purse and take their license. And I'd be like, and he's like, now I know where you live. If you try to run, if you try to do anything, I'll go and I'll kill you and your whole family, or I'll kill your family or whatever. And so he'd threaten these women. He's like, and then, I'd take them to my spot. He had a spot in the fucking woods or whatever where he'd take these ladies, and he had a mattress laid out and everything. It was like, it was his spot. And he's like, and I put the knife in the ground just so they knew it was there, and then I'd do my thing, and then I'd remind them that if they told anybody or went to the authorities, that I'd go to their house and kill their family. So he raped like 25 women, or that's what he got convicted for. Like they were like, we don't know the true number of how many women he's raped, and so he's fucked up, and they're talking about how he's gonna get out because there's some loophole or something. Like he only like 3 of them came forward, or there was some weird thing.
So the loophole was so the women had to come forward and say, yes, this man did assault me. And so enough women did not.
Yeah,
right?
They were afraid, right? Because they've been threatened.
Right.
So most of them were afraid to come forward. So he was about to get out. And then I think towards the end of the show, they were like, yeah, and this is, they're like, we're here at Santa Fe County Prison. And I was like, holy shit, that's in fucking Santa Fe. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, this is happening right here. These are probably people that I know. I've been here long enough. I've lived here my whole life, and I probably know some people. Or like,
you could know him. You could.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, this is happening in my community. Like, and it's crazy.
Or for sure, his cousin or his brother. Something.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And so like sexual assault is happening right here, and I always felt like Santa Fe was a super safe place. But it really got me thinking about, well, yeah, of course you're going to think that because people don't come forward and talk about sexual assault, and it's like, of course.
And the other thing is that keeps, when you said, oh, how did you get away with it, is like the guy is probably thinking, well, because the courts are really on my side as a rapist.
He was super arrogant.
It's almost impossible to get convicted of this.
And that's how he was.
Which is like we have misogynistic and rapist or racist courts.
He was a little proud of how he did shit and how he managed not to get fucking caught. And he was like, he thought he was a cool guy before it all. Like he thought he was like a genius or something. It's crazy.
Right. And we have a woman too in our class that has been raped, and she has a real fear of, a couple, women that have been raped. And one's going through the process, I guess, of convicting the man, and the other, he is currently in prison and going to be released, and she's thinking, I'm in this self-defense class, and fuck this guy. If he tries this again, I'm ready, so.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, that's what it's all about. It's less about jiu-jitsu and whatever, and it's more about empowerment. Like, for these ladies to feel like they can actually do something, like that's the most important thing. Because at the beginning of the course, I'd ask them, well, what would you do in this situation? Or I'd create a what if for them, and they'd be like, I don't know, I'd probably just let him do his thing because I don't want him to kill me or I don't want him to hurt me.
Right. That's like when you were saying like she's getting in the car and like she's not going, I'm going to be raped. Well, maybe there's a hope, like maybe he'll let me go. Like, okay, I'll just go for the ride with him. Okay, I'll get on the floor of the car. Okay, like, at what point is it, like, if I'm touching your face, at what point is it that you say no? Where is that boundary? No, get the fuck out of here, and you start screaming in the parking lot, which is the last place you have hope because there's people there. You know, like, you're holding out hope, even though it's unrealistic hope.
Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, it's like, the minute it feels uncomfortable, ladies, that's the time to get fucking loud. You know? It just is. And dudes that have the potential, you got to know that there's a lot of dudes that know just how fucking big and empty the desert is, and there's so many fucking holes out there, you motherfuckers.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing, man. And so, like, all that stuff has been coming up, like, having conversations with these women, I find out, you know, that there's so much more going on, and I'm just like, man, it's crazy.
Huge.
It's huge. Like, this is, I don't know. I have a really good feeling about this program. Like I said, it's less about jiu-jitsu and less about all that stuff, but more just about, like, these women need to be empowered.
And one of the biggest thing is the authentic dialogue that it creates.
Yeah.
Like, wow, here's a bunch of women that are now open and safe in a room full of fucking 10 or 12 people that were strangers fucking a few weeks ago, and they can speak about these kinds of things, that there's maybe nothing more personal than somebody took my personal space and owned it for a little while. Like, ugh. And that they feel like what, I mean, what a privilege to be able to be in the room when somebody feels safe enough to say that in front of you. Like, Jesus Christ, that's a gift, man.
It's crazy, man.
And that's where the power is, in that openness of that dialogue, I think.
I was just telling Maricia that, I think, like, yesterday, that these girls, they feel so like comfortable around me, like they trust me fully, and it's such a cool feeling, you know what I mean? Like, or it feels a little bit big, you know, like big shoes to fill. Like, it's a big responsibility, but it's a beautiful thing.
And you know what? When you look at it too the other way, it's like when you're like, oh, I don't know if I know enough to teach kickboxing or something or whatever. Like when we first started that years ago, and it's like, well, you've trained with a bunch of high level professional fucking ass kickers. You know more than, I don't know, 95% of the people walking around on the highest levels. Yeah, you're fucking on the lower end. Can you teach all the rest of those people a ton and they'll never even be able to get a glimpse of what you know? Yes, you'll have infinity to teach most people. Like, that's the thing, and it's like, so when you say that about you, it's like, who better than you? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know who was telling the other day, but like about finding a coach. It was about you though, like finding, okay, who's a badass at jiu-jitsu that can take your spot, Tait, as you go out to do these other things and try to build these other endeavors in life. Yeah. And trying to find that guy, like, it was very difficult. And it's not, and I was telling somebody, I said, it's because it's not like the badass black belt fucking competition killer that is the best guy, even though most people go, that's the best guy. You can, you know, put his medals on. That's not the best guy. The best guy is maybe a blue belt that's super kind to people, is real empathetic, doesn't have any axes to grind, is okay with his ego. Competition guys, a little bit cocky. They need to be a little bit more driven. They're a little bit harder. Maybe they don't smile as much, some of them, or whatever. It's like, you got to get the guy with the right personality. And it's like, you know, like you're I don't know. It's like magic that you came along for me. Like, because I could think of nobody that I would trust more or find had more value or more foresight or anything than you, like in that position, man. And then that's just for that. Not to think about the real big thing that I mean, to me, this is the big thing, is this self-defense course, and it is this blossoming of an empowerment of women in a physical way. Like, that is like, here's something real. I'm not teaching you how to kick the Michelin Man in the balls or something. I'm teaching you, like, in a real situation, you're stunned, you're on the ground, here's what's happening. And you're talking about, and then you get to have a dialogue with, like, what about this situation? Or I was in college once and this happened. Or when I was in the car with my boyfriend and he got aggressive and and you get to go through all that and be that guy, and you're smart enough and you care enough. It's like, that's the thing, is caring enough. You care enough to be thoughtful and think about it and go, how would that feel? And put yourself in somebody else's shoes and feel their plight. Like, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, dude, it's been a trip, and I can't wait for it to be over. Not that I want it to be over, but just I want to see these women complete the course, and like I just want to see like what comes of it, you know. And it's such a cool thing that they all want to go out and teach people. Like they're like, well, we should be doing that. We should be teaching people, and we should be. And it's like, man, that's so cool, man. And that's how jiu-jitsu was for us, even. Like, I don't know.
You know what
I
else
felt like
started
I was
that?
I felt like I was like when I started learning jiu-jitsu, I felt like I was learning like magic tricks or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, man, like this is magic, and I wanted to share it with everyone, but a lot of my friends were like, man, you're just rolling around with a bunch of dudes on the ground, like it's kind of gay. You know, or I had a friend be like, he would make fun of me, and he'd lie down on the ground, and he's like, come on, like fight me, or like, you know what I mean? Like he like that's how people envision it, and it's so much more than that, man. Like it's so, I mean, it looks that way. I get it. Like if I was an outsider or whatever, and I came into the gym and I saw a bunch of guys rolling around on the ground, I'd be like, that's weird, you know.
You know, the first time I had that real experience like that was like with my buddy clowning me, Brendan Casey, who's like my size. He's a great big dude, and fucking, we were bouncing at a bar, and he was off. It was Halloween, and he was fucking Irish hammered, just fucking lit up. And Halloween, so he had those fake eyes in the contacts, you know.
Yeah.
And so his eyes were just white, right? And he's freaky looking, and I'm fucking working, man. And he knows already I got a bunch of knuckleheads around. It's Halloween. It's like, fuck, man. And he wants to fuck about, you know? And so he's standing in the hallway, and it's the hallway leads to the door, like 15 feet, right? And he's like, come on, fucking. And he's kind of like swinging at my face a little bit, like, and slapping a little bit. And I'm like, fucking shut up. Come on, fuck off, you know? And he's like, no, come on, all your fucking, you know, your ninjutsu or whatever you're doing or whatever, right? Like a twat. Yeah. And he reaches out for me again, and I go, okay. And he throws like a straight left, and I just parry it a little bit at the elbow with my right hand, pop it over my shoulder, and I reach in, and so I'm in a standing head and arm choke, right? And I start squeezing and walking him out the door, and I stand really erect. And so we're both the same height, but he's a little lighter, so he's kind of tiptoeing back. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, now I'm just going to take you right outside, you know? And I go out, and I didn't really know really what I was doing. I knew I had him locked up, and he couldn't hit me. He couldn't do anything from that position. But I didn't realize how much of his weight I was carrying until we got 3 steps out the door. And I go, now fuck off, man. And I let him go. I open my arms. And kadunk, he drops like a sack of potatoes, and dunk, and it's like a melon hitting the ground. His head, dunk, and then fucking blood comes out from around his head. And I was like, and those fucking eyes, those contacts are just staring at me. And he's out cold, right? I was like, oh shit, Isaac, I think I killed Brendan. And so then he pops up, you know, the way you do out of a choke. He's like, hey, what's going on? Like, he doesn't know really what's happened. Shit. And I go, dude, are you okay, man? You're fucking bleeding. I said, I'm so sorry. I just dropped you. No, man, I'm cool. He says, listen, I'm going to run see Joe Ray, and I'll get with you guys later. And I go, all right. And he's off into the night. And I'm like, never to be seen again. And so we're going through the night, and then we close out the bar at the end of the night, and it's, I don't know, 3 a.m. or something. My cell phone rings, and it's Joe Ray, and he goes, hey, dude, why don't you come take care of your mess? I go, what's going on? He goes, Brendan's over here, and he fucking won't stop bleeding. And so anyway, I go, all right, I'll be right there. And I go over, and I'm at their house, and fucking there's Joe Ray with a roll of duct tape and paper towels, and fucking wrapping up Brendan's head. And they've been doing this all night, apparently. I have to take him to the emergency room. And on Halloween, like on a weekend night, emergency room doctors got 0 love for you. So by the time we finally get to see him, the dude's got a stapler, and he's just like, yeah, okay. And, oh, you did this to him? You guys, okay. And he fucking shaves his fucking head there. And he goes, ta-tunk, ta-tunk, ta-tunk. 7 staples, as angrily and aggressively as I've ever seen a doctor move before, stapling his head together. Now, that's my great first, like, I didn't really understand the power of jiu-jitsu, and neither did he, but he never questioned it ever again after that night.
Yeah, that's hilarious, dude.
That whole thing, Jay Jack used to do that shit too. He worked in a like a group home, like for fucking kids that were on their way to prison type shit. And he'd offer all of them. He's like, no. He's like, oh, you guys are tough. Like, they're like, well, you're a fighter or whatever. And he had a couple pro fights. This is way back in the day. I think he was a blue belt or a purple belt at the time. He's like, no, let's go then if you want. And they're like, no, man, you know, you do that shit and whatever. He's like, no, I'll start on the ground. I'll sit right here. And they're like, no. He's like, I'll put my hands in my pockets. I'll start with my hands in my pocket. And then, like, nobody would ever take him up on it, I guess. But that's the power and the confidence that jiu-jitsu gives you, too. You're like, I know, I'm a motherfucker. Good luck, dude.
It's weird how, like, the dudes that are the most skilled and the most trained, and this is with everything, whether it's jiu-jitsu or even these Navy SEALs or whatever, it's like those dudes aren't looking for any kind of confrontation.
No way.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
They're all, you know, there's also, you know, when Maricia is speaking, like, to the awareness, it's like those guys all have a heightened awareness of not only their bodies, your body's tactile response and all that, but they're aware of their surroundings. So they're not, like you say, a bunch of drinks deep at fucking 2 a.m. in a sketchy area. Like, exactly. If they're that way, they're safe. They're around for or whatever. Like when they park at night, they parked in a place that is responsible for them getting their, you know, all that shit. It's like being aware, and I love it. Like that whole thing about like you're unaware, you're dumb. That's what dumb people are. They're unaware.
Yep.
Like, get aware. Heighten your discipline towards your awareness of surroundings, of how people feel, all that.
Or even what's going on, like, in everything, like, in our country, or, like, being aware. Like, it's so crazy. Like, it's like that. We can go back to the whole thing about Nate. Like, he's just not aware sometimes, and it's a trip. Because you talk to him, and he's like, huh? Or whatever, and it's like you're not here and you're not aware, and people
just get with me.
Yeah, and people like it's not just him. Like, it's happening all the time. Like, people aren't here; they're just going through the motions, and they don't. Then I don't know. It's fucking crazy, dude. I meant to send you an article about. It was funny because it was talking about, like, I think the title was "What Your iPad Is Doing to Your Kids." And it reminded me of my niece.
Like using it as a babysitter and stuff like that.
Yeah, my niece, because
I see that all over.
My
with
niece
kids.
and my nephew, dude. Like, oh man, they're like 2 and 4, and they're completely addicted to like phones and iPads and gadgets or whatever. And so I read the article, and it was really funny to me because I wanted to send it to you, and I was gonna like you should read this for your kid, for your son, which is Nate. And I didn't.
Your brother.
I didn't do it. I think because my phone died. But it talked about, like, when kids are ridiculed and ostracized, it sends them in, like, to their gadgets even more. And I was like, wow, that's what Nate does. Like, when we make fun of him, the first thing he does is he puts his head in his phone again. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like us ridiculing him and ostracizing him is forcing him to go to that place that comforts him.
I feel like there's an awful lot of talk about Nate on this.
And I'm like, man, that's crazy, but it all makes sense. You know what I mean? And then it talked about, like, developing personalities or whatever, like developing relationships online and how people are.
Now, what do you think about this, though? Like that, so there's a lot of talk about all that shit for sure.
Yeah.
And then Nate and I were talking about it today, too, and it's like there's, like, he brings up some really good points about it. Like, you know, like he was saying, you know, like everybody says, oh, today is the worst time to be alive, or because somebody was talking about, we were talking about texting and driving, and he's like, I feel like if you can't text and drive, you're just not a very good multitasker, you know, like, or whatever. And he's like, fuck, cops are out there, they're on their phone, they got a computer going at the same time, they're you know what I mean, drinking a coffee, like, and you're gonna give me a ticket for doing one of those things. That seems fucking crazy and unfair and unjust, and like, and it does to me too. And I told him, I said, man, I remember driving in Detroit, and you'd see people on the freeway, and they'd be commuting to work, and they'd have either a book or a whole fucking newspaper spread out over the steering wheel, reading fucking small ass newsprint while they're humping along on the highway at 75. And tell me that's not more dangerous than text. Like, that's crazy. Or somebody, you know, stuffing their fat face with a dripping cheeseburger that spills it on their white pants. Like, that is going to cause more of an upheaval than texting. Or if you drop the hots of your cigarette or your joint into your crotch and you're jumping around now trying to avoid fire, like maybe but none of those things, and I'm not saying whatever about it, but like none of those things are illegal. But the brand new thing that's maybe not the most dangerous out of all those things I just mentioned, how about turning around and slapping your kids because they're too loud in the back seat? Can that be illegal, please, first?
Yeah.
I mean, can we do that?
Yeah, and I get that for sure. And it's like, I read an article about that one time,
but
too.
my thing is that what I said, what precipitated the conversation, I go, well, it's actually the very safest time to be alive right now.
Yeah.
There's no freezing to death if you're aware a little bit. There's no starving to death if you're a little aware, in most places that we know about as American. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're pretty fucking safe and mollified here in the United States in 2014. It's like, it's not like there's dangers lurking around every corner, and everybody is looking at it like, well, it used to be so simple. When I hear motherfuckers that are in their 20s or 30s, it used to be a lot simpler life. I mean, back in you weren't alive in the 50s, asshole. Shut your fucking mouth. You got nothing to say about it. Like, it's like we're here right now, and to the degree then that your nieces and nephews know how to use a phone better than I do, maybe that's where the technology goes. And is it I'm not saying like for sure it disconnects us from the world, but if that's a new frontier that we're going, it's good that they're really adept at that too.
It reminds me, like I said, I read an article and they were talking about how when radios were first put into cars, there was a whole debate on whether like music was going to be distracting to drive, like so people were like, we shouldn't put radios in cars, like that's going to make people crash and it's going to fuck everything up. And it's
like when Elvis started and they're like, the way he moves his hips, it's too sexual. It's going to be, panty dropping everywhere. We don't want that kind of hysteria. It's going to incur lust in our youth. Like, I think they've already got that. Like, or what? Like,
it's like when you were moving your hips today during self-defense, and you were showing us how to.
What did you think of it? What did you think of it?
I thought it was amazing, dude. I was like, whoa.
Thank you, Maricia.
It was highly sexual. I was a little uncomfortable. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know big men could move like that too. It was pretty impressive. I mean, I think it was pretty good.
But I started thinking, what is that going to do to the world if fucking big dudes like that with beards start moving their hips like that? It's going to fuck shit up.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I don't know. I think part of it too, like not being present, and then coping mechanism too when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To just go to a cell phone or whatever,
Well, that's the thing that like I do with it, like, is like it combats loneliness or something, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, it's like that thing about going, I'm going to hide all my dollars or I'm going to fucking take care of everything. It's only making you more poor.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is like, I'm going to combat my loneliness by being here, which in turn is only really going to make me feel more empty and lonely.
Dude, I think
and that is the other aspect.
I think about that even just going into these auditions and thinking about like all that. I'm like, I got to be with these people, or I got to, as I respond to these things. And it's like, I forget sometimes. Like, I personally think that I've become a little disconnected from people. Like, I even forget to make eye contact with people, because it's like, I feel like if we're on our phones, like even if we're having lunch or whatever, and I'm on my phone and I'm constantly looking down at my Facebook or I'm responding to texts, and me and you are having a conversation while I'm texting, I'm not really making eye contact with you anymore. I'm looking up every so often, you know what I mean? And I'm not really with you anymore. And I'm like, that's hurtful for acting, because in acting, like I gotta be with that person, and I gotta, you know what I mean? I really have to respond, and I really have to. I don't know, and it's just crazy. So I've been trying to become less dependent on my phone, as far as, because I do that too. Like if I feel uncomfortable, first thing I do is pull out my phone, because it's easy. It's easy to disconnect from whatever is going on in the real world and go into my internet personality or whatever. And I'm like, it's crazy to me.
Or to just sit for a moment. I read a book, Fierce Conversations, recently, and they speak to being quiet. How uncomfortable Americans are just sitting in silence and having, what people always say, awkward moments of silence, but just to shut up and not always think about when someone else is speaking to you, what am I going to say? How am I going to respond? But just like sit there and shut your mouth, you know, and just be. It's just crazy that you have to reiterate that, you know, that we're used to just constantly being entertained and having to check out in ways, you know.
Almost like an attention span need, like where we have we're training ourselves to not have an attention span anymore, in a way, or like what Ruben's talking about, we're training ourselves to be uncomfortable. Like when he does look up at and then it's like, ooh, is this uncomfortable to be eye to eye with somebody now because I'm so not used to it or whatever? Because and I'll just retreat to my phone, like.
And it is that way. I mean. It sucks that I bring up Nate so much, but I see it in him.
Listen, folks, he loves Nate. You know, he really does. He does.
I do, man.
Talking a lot of shit right now, but he does.
I spend more time with that guy than I do with my family. It's weird. I'm here with him like 7 days a week, and it's cool, man. It's just a trip. Like, I don't know. Like Nate gets really upset easily. He says he doesn't, but he really does. I mean.
This is on the internet. Everybody in the world can hear this anytime for forever.
Yeah. He gets upset, and I don't know. But when he does get upset, the first thing that I see him do is pull out his phone and start pretending to text or pretending to whatever. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. And
the good part though is that on that internet too is like a lot of people are just around mad shitty people all the time, and the good thing about it is that you can go and pull up. Like, what are those cheesy ass videos that are always out there? The most uplifting or the, you know what I mean? Like all of that type of shit where it's like you can go, oh, here's the most heartwarming video ever, or whatever. Like you can look for whatever you want, you know. I mean, just because like Hispanic singles that like big ladies or whatever are what comes up on your news feed for the most trending topics, it doesn't mean, you know, you can look for some Nat Geo shit or whatever out there that's beautiful in life, you know.
Yeah, the internet is definitely a double-edged sword. I mean, you could go south, or you can use it for a lot of helpful things. Yeah. That's on you.
It's weird how we're trained though to like kind of be like, I don't know. It's like we're almost programmed to look at the disaster, whether it's on the news or whether it's like, you know, to watch the wreck in NASCAR or the whatever. You know, the most watched videos are like, you know, it started with blooper videos, you know, and then a whole show of Jackass came up. Oh, to basically, well, let's make the shittiest blooper reel. We'll just throw ourselves off roofs or whatever. We'll shoot ourselves with BB guns at close range or like. And so, like, the most hurtful shit, like skateboarding wrecks, those are the videos that are most looked at on the internet. It would be nice if they were all TED Talks that we all saw that were the most interesting, but that's not the way it goes generally.
And even those TED Talks, man, I don't know. Like, there was one that I was watching.
Seems like sometimes I look at them, I'm like, they'll let any motherfucker get on that stage.
I'm like, it used to be really awesome, and now I'm, like, I don't know. I'm so skeptical. With all the disinformation and all that stuff, I'm like, I feel like there's some there's some spies or intruders or some shit's going on. Like, they're trying to convince me of some weird shit now.
Out there,
You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, be skeptical. You know what I mean? Of everything.
So why is Maricia sitting on a donut?
She hurt her tailbone, and she doesn't know how.
Yeah, well, that's a weird thing. I mean, I've fallen as a child. I think all of us have fallen on your butt, and, you know, it hurts for a really long time. For me, I mean, I'm assuming I did a deadlift, and so, yeah, I guess the backstory. I did CrossFit 3 times a week, and then I upped it to about 6 days a week because I joined the competition team, and I thought, okay, I'm going to, you know, try to PR this deadlift, and I did 50 pounds up from what I did.
That's a lot.
And the next day I was like, my ass is hurting. And so, you know, I don't know what's going on, but it's taking so long.
Did you and Ruben celebrate with anal that night?
No, definitely not.
I would have never asked that, except the people listening, they want to know.
Yeah, he was nowhere near my ass for a while. Yeah, in any way. It was like, don't slap it, don't, nothing. Yeah.
Don't slap it, don't rub it, don't lick it down.
Nothing. Nope.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's the painful one. That hurts for a long, long time, that type of shit.
It's weird because
It's like the end of your spine. Your tailbone is the fucking bottom end of your fucking spine.
What's weird is that some people have 3 vertebrae down there and some people have 5 vertebrae.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, and it was
we
like
started googling things like what are the
common
typical
injuries
from
tailbone
weightlifting
injuries, and so we started looking at it,
know.
and I was like, this is weird. And then women have different ones than guys do, women are more prone to injuring their tailbones, is what I read too, because they're just built differently. Their hips,
because the way the pelvis is, and then the tailbone curves differently.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. And I was like, wow.
It is,
weird.
but the nerve pain is something else.
There's
I've had bone
like,
pain. But
it's like a little tail
pain.
down there, dude.
Woo.
It's like a little tail that doesn't protrude.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's weird.
Evolution's not real.
Yeah.
Have you guys been watching any of
Game of Thrones?
Oh, Game of Thrones. You guys seen it?
Oh, yeah.
How come they didn't have it? We're just where they should
Memorial
have
Day.
They should have had episode 8, and then
Yeah.
they fucked us. And
They
episode
fucked us
8, they took a week off. Like, nobody okayed that anywhere. Memorial Day?
Memorial
Day. Really? Because it's filmed in fucking Morocco, in Ireland, in Croatia.
It's not about that.
Oh, really?
It's about making money. So the debate or what it is that Memorial Day is a horrible day for TV because so many people are in the wilderness or they're like out spending time with their families. And
Do you know who's not spending time with their families and out? Is everybody that watches Game of Thrones. They would be at fucking home like I was on Sunday waiting
Like
for
an
that
American.
bitch to come on and then going, oh, I guess I'll go to On Demand. Maybe it doesn't show up till Tuesday. I'm still looking, and then somebody tells me, yeah, they don't play that shit because it was the long weekend. I'm like, I don't understand the logic at all.
You know,
I guess numbers don't lie. You bitches up there in
it's all
TV
about
land
numbers.
know.
Yeah, it's all about numbers, and apparently numbers are always horrible on Memorial Day, so they skipped a week. They fucked us.
There's probably going to be spoilers right now. How come everybody
That's
in Game of Thrones and is awesome kind of likes cock a little bit also? They like to bang ladies a lot, but they'll maybe be making out with a dude or blow a odd dude here or there. I mean, that happens. And like, the Borgias was like that.
Yeah.
The badass killer assassin in the Borgias, full on homo.
Yeah.
A badass rugged motherfucker, like a straight assassin. The baddest dude, that Oberon dude.
You know who's a badass and isn't a homo though? Tyrion Lannister.
We don't know if he is or isn't. I mean, he might just not be showing that. Who knows? But he's pretty badass. That stare down with him and his dad was pretty fucking epic when he's like, I demand trial by combat.
Dude, he's a badass, man. That actor, I don't know what his real name is, but
Oh, he's awesome. I met him. Peter Dinklage.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh, Peter
dude.
Dinklage.
Because I don't know
There
if you
you
know
go.
this or not, but
There
I'm
you
a
go.
SAG award-winning actor.
Yeah.
And so we actually, he was the guy that didn't get an award that night. I had the actor, and he didn't have one. He was upset about it walking around. I met him in the bathroom, odd enough to meet a small person in the bathroom for me, but I was just walking back the whole time. I was like, that's fucking Peter Dinklage, because he's amazing. Like, as a performer, like, that guy is amazing. And like, what a strong gentleman dude. Like, he was dope, man. It was a real honor to meet him and to pee next to him. Shut up.
Did you
Shut
look,
your mouth.
Did you look
Shut
down?
your goddamn mouth.
Did you look down? Okay.
I'll let Maricia field that question.
He's a badass though, man. I don't know. I read that article on him or whatever, how he talks about like people tell him he's lucky. Oh, you're lucky you got on Game of Thrones, and he's like, motherfuckers. He's like, tell me I'm lucky when I was fucking living in New York in an apartment that didn't have heat, and I was fucking eating whatever, trying to make it on $5 a day or like whatever. And he's like, tell me I'm lucky when I turned down all those Leprechaun fucking commercial jobs because I wanted to stay true to being an actor in my art and shit. I could have sold out and been a fucking leprechaun, but I didn't, and now I'm here. So he's like, so fuck you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's awesome, man. That's fucking powerful.
Yeah, he says he's fortunate, not lucky. Yeah.
He's like, I'm fortunate enough to make connections with these people, you know, that I attract these people that brought me to where I'm at. And I'm like, man, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I feel. Like, I don't know, man. I'm super appreciative, and I'm like, I created this, you know, like being who I am, and like, you know, like even you being in Hawaii and all that for a month, and I'm seeing your Instagram photos and Facebook and all that, and I could easily be like, oh, Tait's lucky, but I'm like, no, like Tait created all of that. You know what I mean? He created that for himself, and that's awesome.
I remember one time, like it was a few years ago, and I was doing a bodyguard job, and it was over Christmas and shit, and I was like, here's what it costs, and it's gonna cost you, double time on Christmas Eve and on Christmas Day and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and all that, and I need to get paid a week up front to stay here and all, like, because you don't know who you can trust or whatever, and after you're already there, people think I don't need to pay. So, and it was cash, and I was like, cash only, you know? It was an exorbitant amount of money. But it's like I'm giving up fucking it's like, and then I was talking to my buddy, Big John, about it, and I was like, you know, fuck, man, you know, because I don't know. I'd rather be helpful where I am, and I don't want anybody to feel like they're getting boned or whatever, but he's like, fuck them. He's like, absolutely fuck them and fuck anybody. He's like, you spent your whole life having the body that you have, having the skill set that you have, having the awareness that you have, having the care and concern for somebody else's well-being, having the foresight to look for danger before it happens so that it never occurs, having the, like, and he starts listing all this shit, and he's like, and so, and being a professional like the whole deal, and he's like, and so, yeah, go ahead and find another guy that has all that and get whatever he charges. But you're like fucking, you know, it's like being worth it. It's like knowing who you are, and you're like, okay, I merit this, you know, in that way. I remember when dudes, like, when I got sober, like, there's a lot of the dudes that are like the I can'ts and shit out there that were like, well, it's just easier for you. That's like that thing like you're talking about Peter Lincoln Dinklage, where they're like, oh, well, you're lucky to get there or whatever. And it's like, or it's easy. It's like, it's the same for everybody. It's like everything is the same. And to diminish anybody else by saying it's easier for you or it's this or that, it's like saying, oh, well, for the very fucking beautiful of the world, life's easier. It's like, there's different fucking obstacles for those people than for people that look like trolls or whatever. It's like everybody's got their obstacle, you know? And it's like that really is the thing of, like, to the extent that we can understand the plight of another is the sign of our own maturity and spirituality, I think, in that way. Is like to look at it and go, well, fuck, man. It's like there's no harder. It's not hard. Things are hard. That's it.
Yeah.
There's not a harder or a hardest, or like there's not like raising a kid as a single parent is fucking harder than surviving or dealing with cancer. It's like it's all hard. It's all hard stuff, and we all need each other's love and support and understanding through that hard stuff. And with that, all the hard goes away, and there's comfort. You know, that's where that's where humanity lives.
I don't know, man, and I almost even feel like taking that a step further and being like, it's not even that it's harder, it just is. It's just that's the way, like, it is that way, and we are. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about, like...
And who cares?
Yeah.
Would I choose easy? If there's an easy... Like, it's like, at what point is my body hardened or formed by going on a softer route? It's like... When we started this, and I go, everything that I've done, I've endeavored to do the hard, scary thing. Yeah. That's what's made the formative difference in my life. And so, like, how would you choose that for somebody else? And I think that's one of the hard things, too, about being a parent, is watching your kid fall down all those times going, the motherfucker's going to have to skin his knees however many times before he learns. And you just got to watch it happen. But without that pain, there's no growth. Without that having to paddle out past the break, there is no great waves that you're catching. Yeah. Without that struggle, there is no joy and reflection in that. You know, you must have it. So, like, I guess that's the fallacy too, to go, well, I love that it's hard. You know, that's why, like, when I work hard, man, I try to smile. I consciously try to smile. I'm so grateful that my body works, that I'm healthy, that I'm able to work hard. What a blessing. What a blessing to be able to throw myself into the thresher. You know, there's a great thing that Khalil Gibran, he wrote that book, The Prophet, which is so good, and I'll butcher it, but when he talks about love, he says, for those that aren't willing to be cut and ripped apart by by the threshing wheel of love or of romance, they're not even worthy to love, or they're not worthy to receive it. It's like you've got to be willing to avail yourself to the whole thing, you know, and it's all of it, you know. And the other part of it, the step further there, is you can't diminish or bewail it or blame somebody else for it, because it all, like you said, Rubes, it all just is. It all is that, and that's great. And when I do that, no matter if I'm hurt, or I can find love, and I can find a compassion in there, and I can find a humanity that goes, there is a oneness, there's a unity here regardless, because it's my ego that has feelings about it, you know? That's it, yeah. It's the funny thing, like when I don't know, Nate and I were talking earlier today too, and talking about Facebook, and you see like all the different selves that people put themselves out there, and like some people, like friends of ours, and it's like repetitively, it's like the same thing, like, I can't believe the fucking shitbags at my job are treating me like this, or right on, Dad, you fucked me over again, just like you did my sister and me when we were 17 on Thanksgiving, or what. You're like, I think that's a little personal to have on Facebook, homie, and your dad's not on Facebook, so who are you talking? Or those are the ones I really love. Hey, cab driver that fucking drove me extra miles, fuck you. I'm pretty sure he's not going to get the message. Just because you didn't have the courage to tell him in person doesn't mean this is the appropriate way. And it's like all of that shit, I look at that and I go, am I feeding negative or positive?
Yeah.
Every keystroke that you cocksuckers are putting out there, it's one or the other. Am I putting out something negative or something positive that's going to be enriching? And I'll tell you, I'm capable, just like anybody else is, of one thought at a time. And it gets to be positive or negative. There's no gray area in thoughts. There's a positive thought or there's a negative thought. And if it fucking, I go the one way, I have, my whole life is just an accumulation of those thoughts. The more negative ones, guess what? You're a depressive asshole. The more positive ones, you're upbeat and your friends love to be around you. Like, it's super simple math, guys. You don't have to be a scientist to figure it out, but I can tell what kind of life you have by your Facebook status for sure. You know, I can tell who I want to hang out, you know, and that's that's what Nate brought up was the funniest thing, was like the people that bewail kind of technology and where it's going, and they go, yeah, fucking Facebook, it's robbing us from real interactions with our friends. When's the last time you made a real phone call, bro? Or whatever. And it's like, you're bitching on the forum about the thing that you're bitching. Like, so this is the best forum to reach as many people, but you want to complain about the forum on this forum. Like, that's a little bit of an insanity that's happening there right now.
I love the people that are like, I'm going to close my Facebook for a while. I just feel like...
Thanks for the heads up, dog. That's what I always think.
I feel like I need to work on myself, or I don't know, they write some stupid shit, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like you need to be less of a pussy, be a little disciplined in your life, and fucking man the fuck up. What's up? It's the funniest thing where it's like, I need to just take a break from this for a while. It's like, that's like saying I need to take a break from Twinkies for a while because I just compulsively shoved them down my face. From the distance of 3 feet from my fingertips to my mouth, I have no control over just shoving those into my face over and over. Like, you got complete dominion over your fingers and Facebook, dum-dum. Like, if you're compelled to be there, that's indicative of another problem. It might behoove you to keep it open and discipline yourself and get your shit together. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Facebook.
Well, boy, oh boy, we're 2 hours and 12 minutes deep right now.
Holy shit.
I feel like it's maybe almost bedtime. I'm back here at 8 o'clock to go and meet. We're looking at taking Undisputed Fitness into a new building across town over by the wonderful Salon Del Mar. Our friend Angela Del Mar and Maynard Del Mar. You've heard the great Maynardo.
Kevin Del Mar.
On this podcast in the past. But, yeah, Kevin Del Mar. The great Kevin Wilson. A fine English gentleman.
Guy's so sweet, man.
Why is it, too, the English people? You fucking English people. I'm just jealous, man. Like, instantly, with an accent like that, Doesn't matter. You could have 90 IQ points. You sound like a goddamn genius.
Polite.
Good looking, polite. Doesn't even matter. Like in England, like those people are like, oh, that fucker's got the worst grammar ever, and he's a real fucking troll. You're like, I thought it was like the Prince of Wales. I had no idea. Like it seemed like a real gentleman to me.
Right.
Just that accent. You had me at that accent. I almost wanted to bang the dude. God, he just sounded so sexually intriguing.
And according to Angela, he's like a hillbilly in England. Like he doesn't even come from the city. Like he's from the country. Like he's supposed to have like a country boy accent from England.
It's amazing.
But to us,
Yeah, to
he
us,
sounds
it's like,
fucking refined.
oh my
as
God,
fuck.
that's a gentleman right there. Should I call him sir? I don't even know. Is he knighted? Yeah.
Is he knighted, Sir?
I mean, if they're knighting Elton John and stuff, I would think Kevin Wilson needs a right.
Sir Kevin.
That's what I'm going to maybe call him from now on.
I'm sure he'd love that.
Maynard can be a squire. Anyway, I don't know. I'm way off here. Yeah, moving Undisputed Fitness. I got to go and talk about some new plans for that. Then I get to go and meet an accountant at 9:30. Then I got to get to LA. Then I don't know, ASAP, and I want to thank people right now. I want to thank. Is it the Ruben Rivera?
Yeah.
It's at the Ruben Rivera, so I guess so you're not confused. It's always interesting to me too, those kinds of people, the or the real or the all that stuff.
You already said
It's
you
so-
already
it's
said
so
this on a
fun.
previous
It's so
podcast.
fun.
The only
I-
other podcast I've been on,
I-
you went into the same rant.
It's just interesting. It's really interesting. I don't know. Are you on Twitter or Instagram?
Yeah, just Instagram, Maricia O'Keefe. I have a really tricky name, Maricia, and then O'Keefe, Okeeefe.
Is there any underscores
no-
or any of that kind of stuff?
No, I don't get
Straight
drafted
on. I
like
love that.
Yeah.
Remember, that's George's great-granddaughter.
I don't think that's true.
It's not true. No.
She spells it differently.
I do spell it differently, and I'm not related to her, but I get asked that a lot in Santa Fe if I'm related
I would just
to
start
her.
going with it and
Own
saying
that
yes.
shit.
And you know what else I would do?
What would you
I would start doing seminars on painting.
Ah,
Yeah.
I actually feel like I'm a pretty good painter,
I
and
feel
I
like
don't
you're-
think she is. But
I
you
mean,
know,
I
that's
love
just my
pussy as much as the
personal-
Nesta watercolor
They're
artist.
orchids, Tait.
I know they are. I've eaten the shit out of some orchids.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, that's a whole
Good on
nother
you.
topic too. I'm at taitimusmaximus. And
that tells a lot about you as well.
which part?
Just where your focus is.
Taitimus
in life.
Maximus?
Yeah.
It was a nickname that I got from
Oh.
my coach. So it kind of that's where it came from. Or that I'm a lot like Marcus Aurelius' descendant. What were you thinking?
I was just thinking of your fondness for booties, like gluteus maximus was always where I thought that came from. So I thought it was just your fondness of that. So
Of ass.
yeah.
It's because you're black, too.
I never knew that you knew. Is it because everybody loves booties, or is it because my love for booties is I just put that off?
Well, it's both. I think everybody does love booties, but you love them very much.
I'm going to say that the booties are more important than boobs. That I was thinking in like in Hawaii. I don't know if you've seen Hawaiian bikinis. Holy fuck! Whatever you bitches got on anywhere else in the world except Brazil, you got on way too much. You'd be laughed at as a prude in Hawaii. It is awesome. And what I will say is that after a month of studying, that the boobs can distract you. And they can be very nice, and they're great. But the booty is everlasting. I mean, let's just
so poetic.
Let's just keep it real, right?
I feel like you should
Taitimus Maximus.
You should do one of those. What are they called? Like power, like poem or whatever. Like
A power poem, like a haiku, some haiku.
You go and you do those power things. I don't know. Man.
Oh,
I've never been a poet. A slam, poetry slam.
Oh, poetry slam.
Yeah, you should do a poetry slam.
I'll have
about
to.
the booty.
I got to get my shit together before, but I feel like I could come up with something
The boobs
beautiful.
are distracting, but the booty is everlasting.
Yeah,
See,
I
that
know.
even rhymed. You didn't even know that it rhymed.
You
The
do have a
boobs are
way with
distracting, but the
words,
booty's
and you do know.
everlasting.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm better just improv though than just fucking like. And I don't know if that's because I'm afraid to own it and like really go. Well, I really worked at it, and now here's my finished product. Or if it's that quick, I think if I write down the quickness, I know Rogan would say, fucking write everything down, stupid, and then work it out. Like
Yeah,
that,
you sound like Nate right
that
now.
would be his advice to me. You know what you look like? You look
Curious George.
You look like either Curious George or Al Hurricane Jr. If you guys are out there, look at Al Hurricane Jr. He's got an eye patch. Ruben without the eye patch is like his grandson, for sure. Or the most interesting man in the world.
I like that one better.
Depending on how I'm feeling about the motherfucker at the time. What else? At cavemancoffee.com. Got to look at onit.com. Got a deal. Caveman Coffee is going over, and we're supplying Onit with coffee, I guess. It's crazy shit happening. Apparently, Caveman Coffee is the podcast coffee of choice for Punch Drunk Podcast, for this podcast, and for the Joe Rogan podcast, and for the Rob Wolf podcast. All bad motherfuckers. I mean, you really ought to check into that. cavemancoffee.com, undisputedfitness.com,
Yep. You can follow our pages.
deucegym.com, 10th Planet Santa Fe on Facebook. What else? What else? What am I missing here? I don't know. That's it, guys. Thanks a lot. Love you very much. I hope you have a great day. I will do my best to get this out to you ASAP. It won't really matter after you hear this because you'll already be listening to it. And so my hoping to get this out there, speaking only to the three of us in this room right now, really makes no sense at all. I feel like I made a mistake right there. Okay. All right. Bye. Thank you guys very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.